is the premier leadership. He's a master when it comes to leadership. He has authored more books on leadership than probably anybody in the industry of personal growth and development, network marketing, or whatever you want to call it. And he's studied it for 30 years, and he's written over, I think, 70 books on leadership and leadership development and all of that kind of thing. And one of the things that he says, which you will find, is that everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. And I'm sure that we're all, let me see, we all have gotten a taste of what good leadership is, and leadership that ain't that fabulous. All right. Whether it's in your job, whether it's in government, whether it's in families, whether it's in organizations that you're part of, corporations, that type of thing. And so I just want to encourage each of you to take really great notes. Hang on one second while I change out. I make a little change here, but take really great notes, because it's going to be a really great class. And evaluate. You know, when I was going through this book, I want to always continue to evaluate myself against. Hey, good morning. I always want to evaluate myself against what's being taught. And you know, and it's good to also evaluate your leadership against what's being taught. That includes your pastor, that includes your professors, and all of that. And then ultimately, as developing leaders, up and coming leaders, evaluating ourselves and how we function in our homes and in the marketplace and that type of thing. Because leadership should be consistent. It should really be consistent in how you or I, whoever is called to leadership, is how that is. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And Nate, do you want to go ahead? No? Okay. All right. So I don't know if we have any guests on. I see a 678 area code. 678 area code. Is that you?
No, I'm ready.
Okay, you're ready? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and toss it over to Nate, and then Nate, you can facilitate and share however you want this to roll. Okay?
All right. Hey, great morning for those of you. Well, I think we have everyone, but once again, my name is Nate Scott, author of Life is Rich, How to Create Lasting Wealth, a principle-centered, biblically based leadership program focused on personal growth and entrepreneurship, specifically written to address the fact that 77 million baby boomers are retiring and facing a cash flow danger, that 66 out of 100 people age 65 earn less than $30,000 in retirement, that 47% of people say that if they had a $400 emergency, they'd have to sell something or borrow money to address it, and 78% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. It's about how to think versus what to think, how to think versus what to think. And so I'm delighted to kick off this with you all this morning and bringing you in the fold. I just thought it would be great to give everyone an opportunity to participate in what I have committed to, what I'm doing personally, for the benefit of allowing you to self-select. The goals that I've set for this organization will not be obtained without having a community of leaders. Life is Rich is a leadership development program. That's what I'm about. That's everything about the culture in which has been established. And if you go to Life is Rich, How to Create Lasting Wealth, and you see the opening chapter is Leadership is the Answer. And the opening scripture is 1 Peter 5:2-4. Be shepherds of God's flock that is under your care, serving as overseers, not because you must, but because you are willing, as God wants you to be, not greedy for money, but eager to serve, not lording it over those entrusted to you, but being examples to the flock. And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the crown of glory that will never fade away. And then my subnote, leaders have a responsibility. I've chosen 1 Peter 5:2-4 as a call to action to leaders over their influencers. The led, pastors over the church members, teachers over students, business owners over the employees, coaches over the athletes, network marketers over their team, financial advisors over their clients, CPAs, clients, attorneys, clients, parents, children, government, constituents, military, veteran service members, and their families. The opening leadership scripture I want you to hold on to as well, talking about the law of influence, because that's what a leadership is. Leadership is influence. The evolution of leadership. Few muscles in a body wield more power than the little one inside the mouth, i.e. the tongue. The Bible says death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Leaders who understand is greatly increase their influence. Again, Proverbs 18:21. Our understanding of leadership has evolved over the last 5 or 6 decades. The way people expect leaders to lead has changed. Many have said our culture has witnessed 4 styles of leadership since 1950. Number 1, the military commander. Leaders came out of the army and expected unquestioning obedience from subordinates. Many of our presidents had military backgrounds. Number 2, the chief executive officer. Most leaders migrated to a different style driven by vision and shared by everyone. Yet it was still top down and possibly narrow in scope. Number 3, the coach. Leaders moved toward a coaching model where they saw employees as players on a team. This produced even better results, but still limited the possibilities to the vision of the coach. Number 4, the poet and gardener. Today, leaders see the need to express the heart of the team. As a poet gives words to the heart of readers, they develop players using encouragement and direction. They recognize the power of words and use them wisely. Leadership, leadership, leadership. The vision of Life is Rich is to create a lifetime of service. The vision is a principle-centered, biblically based leadership program. The mission is principle-centered, biblically based leadership program focused on personal growth and entrepreneurship, specifically for the purposes of educating, equipping, and empowering people. The reason you hear me repeat that over and over and over again is because it's a way to identify who naturally fits. It's a way to identify those soon to be leaders. It's about establishing the culture. That's why you hear me say alignment before assignment. Alignment before assignment. And so this morning and throughout until the completion of the leader's greatest return, attracting, developing, and multiplying leaders, we'll listen to the audio and then we'll go through and talk through. And throughout, what I want you to really be doing is really looking at yourself and seeing where you fit into this big plan. When I look at leaders, I'm looking at the people that are going to, from a measurable standpoint, achieve senior director. That's going to be a baseline standard for the crop of leaders that can continue to move forward with Life is Rich. When I talk about measuring, that's where we're going to look at the results. I'm going to measure my effectiveness by my ability to identify, attract, develop leaders, people that achieve that. I want our organization to set the standard for helping people to get to $3,000 to $5,000 per month, $500 car bonus, to have $1 million lifestyle, to be debt free. That's what my vision is. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the people that are able to lead, not in network marketing, but just are leaders, leaders of character, knowing how to think versus what to think, to be effective, to be the level head, to be able to make sound decisions, to go thoughts to feelings, to actions, to results, to be interchangeable, to be no different than what I expected of soldiers going into battle, knowing that young men and women could actually take the rein and make critical decisions. So that's why I have committed to really focusing in on this subject, because in order for us to create a dual household presidential, a dual presidential household, that's only going to be able to be accomplished as a result of attracting, developing, and multiplying leaders. That's not a culture of followers. And 90% of people that are leaders lead followers. That's not our desire. We want people that are, we want to bring people in, and we want to develop people of influence. And so that's why we're doing what we're doing. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I have just invited you to participate, because it's important for you to know how I, as a leader, do things when I go into study, and how, what's going to allow us to continue to move forward. And so that's the baseline. And so before I get into it and playing this first thing, I want to go around the horn and find out why are you here, yeah, just why are you here, and what you expect to get from making this investment of time. So let me first begin with Shirley.
Good morning, everyone. The reason I'm here is because I want to learn how to be a great leader. And by me being here with Nate since 2018, I know I'm in the right place, and I'm anxious and ready to learn to be a leader so I can lead others.
Okay, great, thanks. Mom? You're on mute.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My reason is to get more insight so I can, with knowledge you can do more. And my goal is to get everything that I can get from this community so I can pass it on to others, because I know I've been shrinking back, and it's no time for that. So my desire is to get all I can get, and not only keep it, but to use it.
Awesome, thank you. Kim Brown. You're on mute.
Hey, good morning, everyone. The purpose for me to be a part of this study is because previously I have been in a leadership capacity, and although I may have had, let's say, leadership training, and also I do view myself as being a leader or having some level of influence, I just want to make sure that I fully, understand what the meaning of leadership is. And in doing so, that can help me to further develop myself so that I can be of greater influence to others.
All right, great, thank you. Who's 678? Who's dialed in? 678-542. Take yourself off of mute. Okay, and we'll come back round. If I'm unable to get with you, if I can't identify you, then I will remove you. All right, Kendra.
Yes, good morning. I am here, and really I am open. I'm willing to pour into the lives of others so that they can receive God's purpose and power and plan for their lives. And one thing you said is create a lifetime of service. Like that's the vision, I think, that you said. And I'm looking really to commit to a lifetime of serving other people. So I'm glad that that we're doing this, and I'm just ready to lead.
All right, Dr. LaRonda.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here because I need to, one, develop my leadership skills, but also I want to align with people who are going in the direction that I want to go in. So that's part of the reason. And just let me say this, I have to leave at 11 o'clock because I have a therapy session.
All right. Whose iPhone it just got on? You on? Who just joined in? You off of mute? Okay, one more time. It's an audio. I'm looking at the audio.
Hey, Sarah.
Arba. Okay. Okay, Arba. Yeah, you're breaking up.
This is Sarah.
Okay, got it. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna put you on mute because I can't understand you. All right.
It's
Kim,
Sarah.
yep. Go ahead and go on mute, Arba. You're breaking up.
Yes.
You're breaking up. Okay, Kim Foster. You on mute? There you go.
Good morning. My purpose for being part of this program is because I understand that leadership is influence, nothing less, nothing more. And it is past time for me to really become and develop the leader in me that God created me to be in order for me to lend my contribution and to really commit seriously to serving others. And so that's my purpose. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Michonne.
Good morning. I'm here just to get information to learn. I just want to get more information. Got to catch this call, but I'm going to be on the call.
All right. Val.
Good morning. I'm here for the personal growth and development, to be able to influence and enrich the lives of someone else. But I do know that there are some areas that need to be fine-tuned. So the camaraderie and the relationship is a big deal. But my biggest issue is I need to be able to gain, apply, and maintain my craft of leadership. So that's why I'm here.
All right. Tara.
Good morning. My aim here is to learn and to strengthen my personal leadership skills. I wanted to be on the call this morning to support everyone as we all learn together, and I want to learn to develop my leadership style. Thank you.
Shawanda.
Good morning, everyone. I am a lifelong learner and very excited about the opportunity to be a part of this program and continue to align and refine my skills. So I'm excited. Thank you.
Shawanda, do you have Life is Rich, How to Create Lasting Wealth yet?
I've not ordered the book. I will. I went online and I'm just going to tell everybody I've got about 50 things going, but when there's an opportunity, I do take advantage of. So I will order the book, and as well as John Maxwell's book.
Okay. Just so you know, Shawanda, because every time I talk to you, you talk about your time. Everyone in here, please don't ever again tell me about your time and all that you have going on. Please don't ever mention that stuff again. This is all voluntary, and trust me, nobody has more going on than I do. It's a decision. 1,440 minutes per day. we all have the exact same amount. And when you subtract out the time for working, sleeping, commuting, and the time it takes you to do what you have to do each and every day of your life, most people are left with just 1 to 2 hours remaining to do what they really want to do. But then the question is, do they have the money to do it? This is all about choices. It's good. Remove the pressure of as if you have to do something, but never, don't even, no more justification in this world right here, because everything we have control of, we have decisions of what we want to make. The key is, it's not time management. That's why I said it's not time management. That's a misnomer in my book. It's self-management. It's truly about whatever it is that we decide to do and being good with it. A good book for you guys to pick up and read, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The reason why I get on the phone with you guys, if y'all shoot me a message and I'll take a phone call, if I stay on the phone with you for an hour in the middle, is because I choose to give you that, because I put you at a priority. I say, okay, well, if this is going on, I'll do it. If I don't pick up the call, if I say, hey, how much time do you have? It's because I'm telling you, this is what I'm going to do. But always just do an assessment and just think about your life on how you go about doing it, and where you're looking, where you're filling things up, where there might be things you can just decide to not do and be okay with that. But this is not one of those things where you have to actually talk about when and how much time, because I've only invited you guys to participate because I'm doing this. This is my study time, and I didn't want you to be left out. All right. Prophetess Sherilyn.
Yes, good morning. Good morning. Yes, this is Prophetess Clay. I'm here as a leader, and I am here to continue to grow and to continue to learn how to be a greater asset, and how to apply it in my everyday, to make sure my day that I live every day to the fullest.
Awesome. Thank you. 678. Who is that? 678. Okay. If you guys are unable to identify who that person is.
Okay,
next.
It sounds like I'm unmuted finally. Hello?
Yes.
Okay, I was unmuted on my phone, but I don't know, I guess the control. But this is Cheryl, and I was invited by my line sister, Andrea. And so this is my first time calling in, but I do consider myself a lifetime learner and a person of influence, and I saw this as an opportunity to learn more. I am a follower of John Maxwell's work as well. Received a lot of training in that and leadership in my church in Augusta. And I also believe that information is power. So excited about the opportunity to join you guys today.
Awesome. Awesome. Applied information is power. Actually, knowledge is information. Understanding is comprehension, but wisdom is applied knowledge. So, yep, we want to make that adjustment. Everyone, remove that from your mindset as well. That whole idea of that knowledge is power. There are a lot of folks with their head filled with knowledge, i.e. information, degreed up to the hilt, but literally can't function. Can't do jack because they haven't learned how to think, how to take that information and then use it. And so that's one of our unique selling propositions. That's the value add when it comes to who we are and what our culture is. All this is about culture. What kind of culture do we have? What do we have in place to ensure that people grow as leaders, to be able to function in society at the highest level? That's what the aim is. All right, so Andrea, how about you? Now we're going to get started.
Okay, so first of all, I'm excited to have Cheryl, my line sister, on, and everybody. I'm excited because this is an opportunity for me to sharpen my saw. I am a leader, and I know I am a person of influence, and just really being able to exercise that, to grow in it, and to be able to lead by example. So I'm always looking for, like someone said, I love to learn. I love to, I love people, and in order to really take people where they really want to be and invest in people, I have to invest in myself, and so that's why I'm here.
All right, thank you. Okay, so this first audio section is the introduction. It's 21 minutes long. We're going to listen to it together, and then we'll come back through and talk again. The practice of how to think versus what to think is, and taking in information, and always be asking yourself, so what? Listening is the highest form of communication. The reason why I do these things with you guys and have you to listen and take notes and give me what, so what, or what's your value statement, because I'm working on that thing that most people lack, which is that listening skill, being truly present and taking in and consuming information. And then when we do the discussions, when I'm talking to you, that's me helping to develop your understanding, so that then as you continue to do that, you end up being able to grow in those areas. All right. And so that's what we're going to do. I'm about to play it, and then we're going to work it. We're going to keep it moving. Introduction. Everyone wins when you develop leaders. Why should you develop leaders? Why should you dedicate the time, effort, energy, and resources to help other people rise up and lead? Is it worth it? Can it really make a difference? Does the return warrant all the effort that's required? Absolutely. Everywhere you look, there's a leadership deficit. In countries all around the world, there are not enough good leaders. That is certainly true in the United States. I think Americans of every party would agree that there are not enough good leaders. And the same is true at the state and local levels. We need more and better leaders. And in businesses, nonprofits, families, there are not enough good leaders. The good news is that leaders can be developed, and everyone wins when leaders develop other good leaders. So if you are a leader at any level or in any capacity, your organization will benefit when you start developing leaders, and you can do that beginning today. I want to help you develop leaders. I want to show you the pathway to receiving the leader's greatest return. There is nothing in this world that gives a greater ROI to a leader than attracting, developing, and multiplying leaders. It's the key to success for any country, family, organization, or institution. What you need to know about developing leaders. It's taken me decades to learn what I know about developing leaders. I've had my failures as well as my successes. I poured my life into people only to have them walk away or disqualify themselves. I've seen potential in people who couldn't see it in themselves, and as a result, never grew to be who they could be. I've been disappointed and discouraged in the process, but I will never give up. There is no better investment than developing leaders. As you take this leadership journey, there are some things you need to know to prepare yourself for developing them. Number one, developing leaders is going to be difficult but worthwhile. If you've ever led people in any capacity, I think you'll agree that leadership is hard work. There are no 2 consecutive easy days in the life of leaders. If today is easy, you will know how tomorrow will probably go. But everything worthwhile is uphill. If the purpose of life was ease and comfort, no sensible person would ever take on the demands of leadership. Developing leaders is even harder. It's like herding cats. That is why so many people who lead let themselves become comfortable attracting and leading followers instead of seeking out and developing leaders. Followers usually follow, and leaders, not so much. However, the work of investing your life in developing other leaders has a high return. As my friend Art Williams is apt to say, I don't promise you it will be easy. I do promise you it will be worthwhile. As I think about developing people, I can't help smiling. For 47 years, I've given my heart and soul to helping people learn to lead. My journey began with the desire to train a few leaders, and it has taken me far beyond my wildest dreams. Today, I
have seen millions of men and women trained as leaders. When I first started, I couldn't imagine writing a book on leadership. Once I gained enough experience to write about it, I thought I would write a total of 2 books on the subject. Now, I've written dozens. In the beginning, I started out developing just a few leaders in my community. Now my organizations have developed leaders in every country in the world. I'm smiling. Not because of the size of the numbers, but because each number represents a person. I may not know all of their names, but each person the people in my organizations have trained lives a better life because another leader lifted him or her up. And these developed leaders are in a better position to improve the lives of the people around them and to make a difference. At age 25, I discovered that everything rises and falls on leadership. I believed that truth with great certainty, and it propelled me to develop myself as a leader. Today, my conviction is even greater, and it drives me to develop other leaders. That task is worthy of my best efforts. It adds the greatest value to others, and it gives me great joy. Developing leaders is the one activity that compounds a leader's time, influence, energy, vision, culture, finances, and missions. Number 2, developing leaders is a job that never comes to an end. When I realized the importance of leadership at age 21, I began my intentional development as a leader. As I got started, I thought at some point I would become a leadership expert. I wondered how long it would take, when I would reach the finish line. In 5 years? 10? Well, certainly by 15 years, I'd know what I needed to know, right? Well, today I'm in my early 70s and I finally have the answer. There is no finish line. The more I know about leadership, the more I know that I don't know. I am hungrier now to learn about leadership than I ever have been. Gail Beebe, the president of Westmont College, has studied leadership development extensively. In The Shaping of an Effective Leader, he wrote, "Our understanding of leadership does not come to us all at once. It takes time. In our instant-oriented culture, we often want to short-circuit the thinking, reflecting, and acting that mark our progressive development as leaders. Understanding how leaders develop and why they matter requires discernment, wisdom, and insight. It also requires time. If developing ourselves as leaders is a lifelong process, then we should also expect the development of others in leadership to be an ongoing process that never ends. Just as individuals never arrive, neither do organizations. In all my years helping organizations find, raise up, and develop leaders, and I've helped more than I can count, not once has a company spokesperson said, "Oh, don't help us. We have too many good leaders." There is always a leadership shortage. This is true in every organization. My companies and nonprofits all focus on leadership development. And for several years, I've been called a leadership expert. Yet, what do all of my organizations need? More good leaders. The organizations have leadership cultures, leadership vision, and leadership mentoring, yet we still need more and better leaders. Why? Because everything rises and falls on leadership. When an organization stops growing leaders, it stops growing. Recently, I visited a Napa Valley vineyard with friends, and the vineyard's third-generation owner pointed out a stone wall. He explained that his grandfather, the founder, had started building the wall. Later, the founder's son had added to it, as had his son, the current owner. Listening to him speak and show us the different sections of the wall, I could sense his pride and the respect for his father and grandfather. There was a sense of tradition and a shared vision that had crossed the generations. There was a strong sense of legacy, which is something that cannot be rushed. If you desire to fulfill a bold vision or do something great, you have to let go of a microwave mindset for leadership. The process can't be done instantly. It's slow, like a crock pot. Anything worthwhile takes time. You must give up looking to cross a finish line and instead find your own internal fulfillment line. That's something you can cross every day when you embrace the process of developing leaders. Number 3, developing leaders is the best way to grow any organization. When conducting leadership conferences, I am often asked about how to improve and grow an organization. The answer is straightforward. Grow a leader. Grow the organization. A company cannot grow throughout until its leaders grow within. I'm often amazed at the amount of money and energy organizations spend on activities that will not produce growth. They pour money into marketing, yet they don't train their employees in how to treat customers when they show up. You can say customers are your priority, but they know the difference between good service and hollow promises. Slick advertising and catchy slogans will never overcome incompetent leadership. Or they reorganize, hoping that shuffling people around or renaming departments will produce growth. That doesn't work. The strength of any organization is a direct result of the strength of its leaders. Weak leaders equal weak organizations. Strong leaders equal strong organizations. Leadership makes the determination. If you want to grow or strengthen your organization or department, start by developing those closest to you, because they will determine the level of success your team will achieve. The first law of leadership I wrote about in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership is called the law of the lid, and it says leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness. In other words, how well you lead determines how well you succeed. That's true not just for an individual, but also for a group. How well they lead will determine how well the organization succeeds. A group of average leaders cannot build an above average company. The potential leaders on your team are either an asset or a liability. As management expert Peter Drucker said, no executive has ever suffered because his subordinates were strong and effective. People too often overvalue their dream and undervalue their team. They think, if I believe it, I can achieve it. But that's simply not true. Belief alone is not enough to achieve anything. It takes more than that. Your team will determine the reality of your dream. A big dream with a bad team, that's a nightmare. Number 4, developing leaders is the only way to create a leadership culture. In the past decade, people have begun to realize the importance of culture in their organization. Culture impacts every aspect of how organizations function. A negative culture creates a terrible environment. It's like a fire that spreads, creating destruction. When I became the leader of an organization that had stopped growing and did not possess a leadership culture, one of the first things I taught my leaders was the lesson of the 2 buckets. When there are problems in the organization, they're like sparks and fires. Leaders are often the first people to arrive on the scene, and when they do, they always have 2 buckets in their hands. One contains water and the other gasoline. The spark they encounter will either become a raging fire because they pour gasoline on it, or it can be extinguished because they pour water on it. I wanted to train them to use the water, obviously, and not the gasoline. As a leader, you get the culture you create, and the nature of the culture affects what you can or cannot do in your organization. If you want to develop leaders, it's certainly easier to do when you have a leadership culture. And that kind of culture can only be created by the leadership within the organization. Mark Miller, Chick-fil-A's Vice President of High Performance Leadership, has trained leaders at Chick-fil-A for years, and he's written extensively about it. In his book, Leaders Made Here, he wrote, "How do you ensure you'll have the needed leaders to fuel your future success?" The answer, in short, build a leadership culture. Let's be clear on terms from the very beginning. A leadership culture exists when leaders are routinely and systematically developed, and you have a surplus of leaders ready for the next opportunity or challenge. Miller said that the existing leaders must often hold back weak organizations from developing a leadership culture. They rationalize that they're already doing well enough, or they think they're too busy to develop leaders. But that just creates a cycle of mediocrity. If you're a leader in an organization, only you can create a positive leadership culture, and you can do it only by developing leaders. In his book, Miller described the best way to do this. First, define it. Forge a consensus regarding our organization's working definition of leadership. Second, teach it. Ensure everyone knows our leadership point of view and leaders have the skills required to succeed. Third, practice it. Create opportunities for leaders and emerging leaders to lead. Stretch assignments, prove and improve leaders. Fourth, measure it. Track the progress of our leadership development efforts, adjusting strategies and tactics accordingly. And fifth, model it. Walk the talk and lead by example. People always watch the leader. If the organization doesn't already possess a leadership culture, creating one is a slow process, but it's worth it. Why? Because developing leaders is the only way to grow, improve, create momentum, and achieve greater success. One of my favorite quotes is by 19th century steel magnate and philanthropist Andrew Carnegie. He said, "I think a fit epitaph for me would be, here lies a man who knew how to get around men much cleverer than himself." The only surefire way to achieve something like that is to develop more leaders so that they can reach their potential. And that's not something any leader can afford to delegate or abdicate. It takes a leader to show and grow another leader. My desire in this book is to take you through the entire process step by step. If you desire to improve your team and achieve your dream, you will need to learn how to take each of the following steps. 1, identifying leaders. Find them so you can develop them. 2, attracting leaders. Invite them to the leadership table. 3, understanding leaders. Connect with them before you lead them. 4, motivating leaders. Encourage them to give their best. 5, equipping leaders. Train them to be great at their job. 6, empowering leaders. Release them to reach their potential. 7, positioning leaders. Team them up to multiply their impact. 8, mentoring leaders. Coach them to the next level. 9, reproducing leaders. Show them how to develop leaders. And 10, compounding leaders. Receive the highest return of developing leaders. My friend Zig Ziglar used to say, success is the maximum utilization of the ability that you have. I love that definition, and I do believe it applies to an individual. But for a leader, success requires something more. Success for leaders can be defined as the maximum utilization of the abilities of those working with them. There's only one way for a leader to help people maximize their abilities and reach their potential, and that's to help them develop as leaders. It's my desire to help you do exactly that. To those that are listening to this audio lesson, I just want to say to you that I've written well over 80 books, and this book excites me more than any that I've written because I feel that it has potential of compounding your leadership success. It's one thing for us to develop ourselves as a leader and really become a better leader. But so often when we become better leaders, we just have bigger and more followers. This book is all about you and I committing ourselves to finding and leading other leaders. You see, when I lead followers, there's a fulfillment, but there's not a high return. Most of them won't go out and reproduce themselves. But when I lead leaders, there is a compounding effect. And as you listen to me as I read you these chapters, keep saying to yourself over and over again, this book helps me compound my leadership success. This book teaches me how to reproduce leaders. Because if you'll make a commitment, instead of having a bunch of followers as a leader, and by the way, 90% of all leaders just have followers, but I'm going to become a leader who develops leaders. You are going to have compounding return and fulfillment in your life. I promise you this. I'm 72. I know this life. I've lived this life. And today, I'm enjoying the fruit of literally thousands and thousands and thousands of leaders that either myself or my organizations have developed. And the return is huge. And I, as your friend, remember, my name is John. I'm your friend. I want that to happen for you. So let's get started.
All right, all right. Let's walk around the room. Let's talk about it. Let me see what you got from what you just now heard. What stood out to you? Let's go starting with you, Shawanda.
Okay, got to get used to the buttons. And I took copious notes. I've got writer's cramp. But one thing that I highlighted: everything rises and falls on leadership. When an organization stops growing leaders, it stops growing. And I can go on and on, but I'll just leave that nugget since you asked us from one point.
Excellent. Thank you. Coming back to you again, though. Florence, Mom.
Like Shawanda, I've gotten a lot of notes also, but what stood out to me is the best investment is developing leaders. Everybody wins when you do that. And got lots more, but I'll stop right there.
All right, great, because I'm going to come back around. Val. Val, you're on mute. Dr. LaRonda.
For me, what stood out the most is the more I know about leadership, the more I realize I don't know, and that spoke to my need to be more coachable.
Okay, wonderful, outstanding. Personal revelation, that's great. Kendra.
So just reflecting, I feel like I'm by default am a leader, and because I just say that because I've never gone through any training to be a leader. And the same way that they're going through Life is Rich presents financial peace, the same way there's a method to that, I see that there's a method to leadership, which neither one of those things I have gone through. So I'm really excited, but I need to prepare myself first to be a leader before I can lead and develop other leaders.
Okay, Shirley.
Yes, it's where he said difficult but worthwhile. Everything worthwhile is uphill, not easy, but worthwhile. And I say that because I am not a quitter.
Okay, Cashel. All right, Kim Brown.
Wow, this intro was something else. I guess the one thing that resonated with me had to do with the microwave mindset for leadership. This is not something that can occur overnight or like boom instantly, you know, in 60 seconds you're a bona fide leader. This process can't be done. It's a slow, gradual process. So that kind of jumped out to me.
All right, Kim Foster.
Amazing intro, but what stuck out to me is a big dream with a bad team is a nightmare. The other thing that I'll say is stretch assignments, stretch potential leaders. And I tell you, I never will forget how Andy did that to me. And it has stretched me. And so I'm grateful. This is amazing.
All right, Val.
Again, it was so many areas, but that microwave mentality thing just kind of resonated with me, because most times there are people who feel as though that, you know, it's supposed to be an overnight success, or it's just everything is just supposed to fall in place and they don't have to invest any time or effort into it. And that is so much like wrong. You know, the being educated on your craft is you're never out of school. You're always learning and always perfecting. And the other thing that also stuck out for me was when he said that there's a shortage of leaders. And I myself, knowing the field that I was in, there was always a shortage. That's why I never was without a job. You know, in healthcare, they always in the front line. So that in itself shows that the leaders are out there, because they were always hiring, they were always reproducing themselves. But the thing about it is, just as he said, you do have to duplicate yourself, but you have to put yourself in a position to want to be duplicated. You have to show someone what it is that they really want to be a part of. So, you know, because if with my work ethic right now, that's why I'm here, by the way, disclosure. If I was on somebody's job and the way I'm presenting it, I'd fire myself. That's just being totally transparent. So I know I need to do so much better. And I'm excited. I'm excited about what I'm going to learn from this.
All right, Tara. You're on mute.
Jeez. Okay, here we are. A job that leadership is a job that never ends. It's an ongoing process. And I highlighted when he said, find your own internal development line. That spoke to me.
All right, Sherilyn.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I would say one of the biggest things would be in reference to leadership, that it's not just about having people follow you, but your willingness to identify those leaders that are a part of your team and to help to develop them into leaders as well, so that your organization can grow.
Okay, great. Sherilyn.
I live by listening. I learned that there's a hunger to be a leader. There has to be an internal fulfillment as a leader. The best way to grow an organization is to grow great leaders. If you grow great leaders, you will grow great organizations.
All right, Andrea. You're on mute.
Okay, definitely what Kim Foster said, a big dream with a bad team is a nightmare. That resonated with me, but also that culture impacts every aspect of how an organization functions. And very, well, let me go back to the bad team. Is the big dream with the bad team is a nightmare what it did for me is it made me decide on what type of teammate do I want to be. Because I know as the teammate that I am is typically the teammates that I will attract. And so I want to be a great teammate. But also the culture that's being developed here with the Life is Rich family, you laid it out and what the standard is. And so that spoke a lot of truth, is that, you know, what is the culture that's being created, and do I fit within the culture? And yeah, just developing leaders never ends. So those are really the three points that stuck with me.
All right. All right. So now we're going to open it up. We're going to start talking. Let's first go with reflection. So in listening to this first chapter, this introduction, how does this new information correlate to what you have experienced? What's your understanding? How does this mesh up with what you've experienced since being involved with me? And this is where you guys can open your mic and you can speak. Okay, hey, Andrea, go ahead.
Well, it was clear on page 20 when it talked about, let me make sure that that's right. I'm sorry, page 19. Leading by example. People always watch the leader, which is point number 5. Point number 4 is tracking the progress of our leadership development, which is something that you've taught us to do, which is tracking. And then on page 20, every point, all those 10 points were very clear on how you have always worked with us as far as identifying those who you identify us or ask us, invite us to the table. You seek to understand. You teach us about, seek first to understand, then to be understood. I'm on page 20 of the 10 points.
20, Andrea?
Yes.
20 of what? What book you're in?
I'm sorry, at the intro. At the introduction.
Yes, the intro in the book.
It's the introduction in the book.
Okay, you're talking Roman numerals. So, okay, yeah. Roman numerals, not.
Oh, I'm sorry. Roman numerals 20. I'm sorry. Okay, Roman numeral XX. Okay, and so all of these things: equipping leaders, empowering them, positioning leaders, teaming them up so that they can multiply the way that you team us up. The whole fast track thing. Releasing us to reach our own potential, coaching us to the next level, which is not always easy to to take. We gotta, be willing to take that coaching, showing us how to develop leaders, taking us by the hand until we get to a certain place, and then teaching us how to duplicate that and how to share it with others. And so I was able to really look and see that you model really everything. You've modeled with us everything that I read, and most people heard. I have the book, so I was following along.
All right, Kim.
Yeah, it's really funny because I got the book yesterday evening, and I started reading it, and I did the same thing. As I was reading, just the different parts jumped out to me in terms of it is definitely like an alignment with how we have been operating in this space. When I look at, I guess, I don't know if I don't think she said on page 19, Roman numeral 19. It says, if you're a leader in an organization, only you can create a positive leadership culture, and you can do it only by developing leaders. And in Miller's book, he described the best ways to do that. You define it, forge a consensus regarding our organization's working definition of leadership, teach it, ensure everyone knows our leadership point of view and leaders have the skills required to succeed. 3, practice it.
create opportunities for leaders and emerging leaders to lead, stretch assignments, prove and improve leaders. 4, measure it by tracking the progress and adjusting the strategies and tactics accordingly. And 5, modeling it, walk the talk, lead by example. People always watch the leader. So as I was reading that last night, well, this whole intro, like I almost sent you a text, Nate, and be like, oh my God, like this is how we have been operating. So it just really made me more excited to, you know, just delve further into this leadership study, because, you know, this whole systematic approach is more than, you know, the experience that I've received in the past. It's always been maybe little segments, you know, and when they call, you know, in corporate, giving like leadership training or development, you know, ways to motivate people, or, you know, just little snippets here and there. But this whole systematic approach, it's perfect because it just gives you incremental steps in order to follow a specific plan. So I'm just really super duper excited.
Okay, anyone else?
Yes, I want to jump in because I want to tag on to what Andrea said and Kimberly, and it's the same area, so that's mission critical. One piece that I do want to add is that there has to be a consensus on the definition of leadership. And I've, in the couple of conversations that I've had with you, Nate, in the couple of opportunities that I've had to view, I think that there is a consistency. So with this group, once we have that consensus of the definition of leadership, that helps us to become more intrinsic with regards to how we operate as a leader, and we can develop leaders. What I see in corporate and or the organization within that I work, people want to be leaders and they want to have followers. I don't see a lot of leadership development. So in my self-reflection, I will take a different person into my work environment on Monday, but also a different person into my next steps with Life is Rich and my business.
Awesome, thank you. Anyone else?
I'd like to say, Nate, this is Kim Foster, that number 2, where it talks about a job, leadership is a job that never comes to an end. And I mean, I ditto everything that everyone else has said, but honestly, you are always spewing information, whether it's in Telegram, whether it's through a personal text, whether it's something that you put on Facebook, or just whatever. It's almost like you don't sleep. You know, it's 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, 5, 4, 3 o'clock in the morning. You are up spewing pertinent information that, if taken, if followed, if received, is designed to serve us well. And so your consistency, and I'm talking on a daily basis. It doesn't even matter how you feel like, you know, I know that within leadership, we all have disappointments. I'm sure you've had your share of disappointments, reaching goals, not reaching goals, and that kind of thing. But regardless to what you may feel in terms of not even reaching a goal, you're still the same. And so your consistency is stellar. And I just want to speak on that.
Thanks. And let me hold on that one point. For one of the things I want you guys to take away with that, my handling of things that, so say for example, not hitting a goal, my handling of it is because my foundation is truly God's word. And in that, I truly do hold on to Jeremiah 29:11. I truly am good when I've given my very best. See, I'm able to stay consistent and stay steady with my emotions is because I am consistent with my effort. as an athlete playing quarterback in football, point guard in basketball, the whole idea of leaving it all on the field or leaving it all on the court is the way that I live my life, because at 19, when I said, Lord, if you allow me to make it back, I'll never waste a day of my life. Again, I understand this thing about having no time and not having the opportunity to look back and say, I coulda, woulda, shoulda. That's the reason. And so my challenge to each one of you that want to take on this thing called leadership is to understand that it is a lifestyle of giving your very best so that you don't look back with regrets. That's the key to it. And that then corresponds to God's word. Because then when you pray, Lord, let thine will be done. Not my will. I asked for it. I want this. I'm saying this is what I want, but Lord, let thine will be done. Okay, so hold on to that as a bedrock that's consistent with the culture that says I live in fullness every day because I realize I'm Christ's heir. That's foundation built on Matthew 6:33, which says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness, and then the promise that all things thereafter shall be added unto you. Everything about Life is Rich should bring you back to God's word. Not should, is, will, always. That's your jump off place. That's the thing that gives that consensus that Shawanda spoke of or asked about, if you will. That's where the consensus is at. You guys don't have any way to work. You don't have to know. You ain't got to go question anything about how do you intrinsically lead. You intrinsically lead if you're in alignment with this whole Life is Rich world, because all I'm doing is pointing you back to God's word to say, if you believe God's word, then walk it out. Because the promise is already there. Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, relationally, physically, financially. You can have it all. So that's the thing I want you all to take away with just that. Anyone else?
I just wanted to, piggyback on what Kim says. Also, what I get from it is that leadership is a lifetime thing that never ends, and also, a lot of times I've been on the call, or as many times as I get on the call, you always encourage us as leaders to, be on time. And like he says, a leader is the first to show up. And I so believe in that. You show up first. If you're a leader, you have to lead by example. And as a leader, you can't be the last person showing up and saying, this is why I'm late. It's not important why you're late. As a leader, we should be on time. And I do believe that. And he said that in his presentation, that leaders are the first to show up, and they show up with two buckets, one with fire and one with gas and one with water. So, I do believe that, Nate, and I know that you encourage that all the time. You encourage us to always be on time, even getting on the call. And I know sometimes, it's difficult because we might have other things to do, but that's what leaders do. We put away the excuses and we do what need to be done. So that's my little take.
Excellent. Thank you. And that whole concept, why excuses hurt my ears is because the leadership piece as my backstory is one from developing and training soldiers to go into battle. The idea of taking in excuses can kill people because I'm asking you a question or I'm needing the information and you're taking the time giving me the excuse. Well, that's time that's taken away from me being able to execute because I'm asking for the information for a purpose. That's where the do not, there's no try really corresponds as well. Either it is or it isn't. All that other stuff is just noise. And I'm like, oh. But again, that's the culture. And the more you adopt this culture and this mindset, the better able you're going to be in attracting the caliber of people that you desire, because you attract who you are, not what you want. You attract who you are, not what you want. So what do you think, what do you feel now seeing this after having, for many of you, a year working with me? And you think and reflect on how you have felt over this year working with me, and now just getting this introduction. How are you processing? How are you now, what kind of reflective thoughts are you having? And if you're not yet, then I encourage you to start journaling, because that's where the growth is going to be, because then you're going to start to look at, okay, what did you come into it with? And how did that impact how you received the information or received me?
Yeah.
And now when you get this formal instruction, now what? Go ahead, Kendra.
I would just say this is good, because I have been sitting here thinking about the year that I've been connected with the Life is Rich community and coming into this. So there's the listening piece. I have definitely learned about listening, to be truly present, listening to be present. And so it stemmed specifically, Nate, from that phone call where I just had to literally put my hand over my mouth and listen. So I kind of visualize myself kind of putting my hand over my mouth. I don't have to do it physically now, but now I can, in my mind, put my hand over my mouth and really listen to people. And Ramon is often in here, a lot of my job is talking to people on the phone. And I'm like, I didn't, because he said, wow, you stepped all over her words. So now it's getting better and better. And he's actually able to keep me accountable. And that helps me out, because now I'm very, very aware of allowing people to finish their thought and listening without determining what I'm going to say in response to that. So that has been huge. And then that whole self-preparedness piece has been amazing to me. That if I am not being prepared myself, financially, then how am I going to lead somebody else? And you talk about leading by example. And so the biggest thing that sticks out to me, again, another one of your conversations, is mind your business. That was a paradigm shift for me, because I had a different concept. And I think when we come in outside of the culture, before you get into the culture, you have a certain way that you think. And so you may process the things that are being said the way that you're used to processing it. And so, when I get those clarifying points, is that no, mind your business, is like, what are you doing? You do it first. And so that was very critical to me. And then choices, like I have a choice. And so that whole 15 weeks where I dropped off because I was teaching 2 classes, at community college, and in addition to my work, like literally I was like, there's no way I could do that. Like, I got to teach, I got grades, I got to do it, but I can do it when I had a paradigm shift to say, okay, so how am I going to do it? What am I going to do? And then, it just started to line up where I could literally put it in. So not how it's not going to work, but how can I do it? And then that personal development piece, it has been critical, not only to me, but to my 4 grown children who are now quarantined back in here, who have picked up, because of conversations with you, picked up some personal development books, and we get to share that all in our family chat. So that personal development is key. I've always heard about, Tony Robbins, and we had a whole stack full of his, audios, but really going through and reading the book to its entirety. I don't think I've ever completed a personal development book to its entirety. And so that is real, that personal development has been so, and I don't know whether it's because I'm older or whether I'm more mature or whether I'm processing differently. I don't know what it is, but right, it's taking a hold right now. And all of that, I mean, and there's even more, but all of that, those 4 points, I can attribute to my connection to the Life is Rich.
Awesome. All right. In what ways have you tried, for those of you that have been in positions of leadership, in what ways have you tried to grow your team, department, or organization that did not include developing leaders? And how successful were they? And you have anything experience-wise where you've tried to grow your team or organization without trying to develop lead? Let me ask this question. What's the difference between a leader and a manager? How many of you, as you reflect, even off of chapter 1, starting to maybe look at whether or not you're a leader or whether or not you've been a leader or a manager, whether or not you've been called a leader when in actuality you're a manager? What's the difference between those two? Anyone? Any thoughts?
Okay, so typically I would say in a practical manner that management is a term that's usually used in a corporate setting or in a job setting.
Okay, let's pause.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Don't stop me. Let me finish my thought. Don't be like Kendra. It can be interchangeable. It can be interchangeable, but management is typically a title that's given to you on in a job setting where you're managing systems, and managing people is a kind of, I believe managing people is a misnomer, because most people don't want to be managed, they want to be led. And so usually when you're managing something, there is a and I'm just saying in my instance, when I look at what I was in corporate America versus what I did in business, is that management was based on my title and managing systems that paid people. And so they followed typically because they had a check attached to it, and there were consequences based on them not following. Whereas leadership, when you following leadership is voluntary. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like churches, sororities, fraternities, organizations, that type of thing. It's a voluntary thing. And so there's no benefit to a person other than the fact that they believe in a cause, they align with the vision, and they believe in the person, and they're benefiting from whatever that person is pouring into them. So that's what I wanted to say. Don't be cocking your head to the side, Nate.
The reason I'm cocking it because, I'm big on time, and because I listen. Immediately when you went into, well, usually when it's tied to a corporate, I was like, let me go ahead and course correct. But I was like, let me entertain her right now and get this thing. So no, that's not it.
What?
Yes. Somebody else.
The X.
Yes.
This is Tara.
Please.
Quickly, my thought was the difference is simply a leader has a vision. And like what we've been hearing throughout the presentation, leaders lead by example, they mentor, they turn around, and they're builders. Managers, I believe, just deal with the status quo. They come into a setting and work within that. It's not always built on vision, and it's not always a strong foundation that particular, like Andrea said, title is more of a title. It's not a conviction to be a manager per se.
Okay. That's very, very clear. Someone else. One more, and then we're going to tighten it all up.
I think the difference between the manager and the leader, I'm gonna piggyback off of Andrea, because with the manager, it is a title. And with that title, they have certain guidelines that they also have to follow. They have a boss. And with those guidelines, they tell people how to do this, how to do that, how you should act, when you should eat, when you should go on break and things of that nature. And if you don't follow those rules per se, then there are consequences that are attached. Whereas with the leader is emulating themselves, they're duplicating themselves, they're guiding them. And as that saying was brought to the table in one of our other Zooms, or maybe it was a phone call with the leading ladies, you walk as though you have 3,000 behind you. And those 3,000 are following you and duplicating you and doing what it is that you are showing them to do. So to me, that's the difference between a manager and a leader. The manager manages, they just tell them what to do. The leader shows by example and people follow them.
Okay. So the things we want to pull out, things we want to take away in regards to the difference. So for example, with Andrea's, the only thing I wanted to really pull out and say no to, take away, is the idea of it's dependent upon the environment. As a note, what I want you to write down and keep in mind, you bring whoever you are to whatever it is that you do. You bring who you are to whatever it is that you do. Going into what Tara said, that leader is a leader. It's not predicated on whether or not they're in a particular job or in a particular type of organization, be it corporate, nonprofit, or business. The manager manages, as Andrea said, systems, but breaking it down a little bit further, you manage resources. You manage, time. You manage your money. You manage your inventory. You manage your schedule. You're managing things. And that's where you can promote someone to be a manager. People in career paths are, looking to get to the next thing to manage, to get the pay raise. You guys in Mary Kay, you're looking, most of you, again, people toss the term leaders out, but you just got a good element, a good introduction on what leaders looks like, what a leader look like. This whole idea of duplication, that's a totally different level. So that's not a thing that comes with, a person can be a leader and have no duplication, because duplication is oftentimes a management term, especially if in the networking space. If you're using that word duplication, that means most of the time when I hear that, that's not a term we use in a traditional other environments. That's a language thing that's oftentimes a network marketing thing. The whole idea, and Andrea said something earlier and talked about John Maxwell. John Maxwell is not a network marketing guy. That's not his thing. John Maxwell is a leader. His leadership, when he's in these other things, again, you bring whoever you are. Nate Scott, I'm not a network marketing guy. I'm not this or that. I'm a leader. So you can put me into whatever. So I said, quarterback in football, point guard in basketball, infantry officer, leader. You just pick me up and you put me there, and then I'm just going to lead, which means I'm going to I'm going to assess the situation. I'm going to have that, like Tara said, the vision, be self-directed. You think about Martin Luther King, he talked about being the best sweeper. That's leaders. It's an internal thing that shows leaders. That's why I've committed to now honing in on, because of where we're going, identifying, attracting, developing, and multiplying leaders. Most of you will fall short, and I'm excited that you are here, so that hopefully now that you see this, and you reflect back over what you've seen of me and trying to develop you, now taking you through a study, you're now ready because we've got a foundation built because you've experienced things already. You've been doing things. And I know it's been painful. It's been a shock to your system because you probably have not really ever been around leadership. Like you haven't been held to a standard where, no, you're going to, standards are being meant to be reached up to, not to be reached down to. Yes.
Okay, I want to share something because we have a multiplicity of people on here that that share a common that share common experiences with me. So I have 3 of my line sisters that are on the call, and so when we were in college and we were pledging, I was the president of our line, and I tried to give the job away, but it came back to me. And so, you know, even in that, and in, you know, the chapter work and you know, in developing the next, you know, membership group and all of that kind of stuff. And so when you talk about, and I know that some of them are leaders as well within now graduate chapters and that type of thing. Ministry, you know, always being in leadership in ministry over this thing, the president of that and the president of that. And then of course in my Mary Kay career. And so I want to say this because there are a lot of Mary Kay, former and current Mary Kay folks that are on. When you look at this book, the book says the leader's greatest return. It says attracting, developing, and multiplying leaders. And one of the things that is a misnomer that especially in network marketing, but in particular in Mary Kay, that I tried to share with the directors that that were in my area, and also those who were my adoptees, who I mentored but didn't really belong to me, was the whole concept of moving from directorship to leadership. And that's the thing, is that when we're developing directors, we conflate that with we're developing leaders. And that's not the case. And the problem one of the reasons why for me, there were a lot of folks that were in the suit or in the position of directorship, but they never transferred from becoming a director to becoming a leader. Those who became leaders, who developed leaders and understood how to develop leaders, went on to become nationals. But most of the people that were being developed, they were just going through a system of checks and balances. Okay, I need X amount of people, I need X amount of production, I need X amount of, you know, whatever, and I have deadlines and stuff to meet. But you know, it's kind of like going through college. You're taking the steps, you know, you graduate from junior high school, next thing is college, and then you have to you know, have so many tests and so many scores and so many classes, and you can't miss this and blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't mean that you're going to be a scholar. You know what I mean? And so, so again, leadership is totally different than the stuff that even in Mary Kay, that we've experienced. And I want to make that very, very clear, because it is the truth that 90% of directors in the company led followers, and they didn't lead leaders, nationals. And that's why it's not easy to get to the position that I held. It's not easy to do that, because again, I don't want to be a dead horse, but I hope you guys understand what I'm talking about, what I'm saying.
All right.
Deb, I'm sorry. I saw her thing light up, but maybe she was, I don't know. Go ahead. I'm sorry. That's all I wanted, huh?
Got it. Deb, you're off mute. Did you have something?
I didn't realize I was off mute. No,
Okay.
I don't have anything.
Got it. Okay. And so as we make that note about leaders, managers, the behavior that the leader takes is one of the big things is initiative. Okay. And so one of the things for those of you that want to grow as leaders, it starts day one. It starts right now. That means you start to really be honest with yourself of whether or not you want to take on that mantle. That means, are you willing to lead by example? Are you going to be the person that you would want to have on your team? You see, There's nobody that has ever called me up to find out if I was, there's nothing. There's the stuff that you guys get from me, there's nobody done that stuff with me. There's nobody pointing me to the website, telling me to look at the website. There's nobody telling me about looking at the videos. There's nobody telling me to show up at the different meetings. There's nobody telling me to track my numbers. There's nothing. So that's the modeling and the focus of me identifying and attracting others that are like me, that will take off and just do those things because they see it for themselves. And so you got the developing of leaders, which is what I've been said from day one. That's what that whole year has been about, laying the foundation. You guys were there to lay the foundation. I said, you guys are you're the foundation. And I've told you guys, I said, y'all got to protect the culture. I know you got Kim. I've said that to Kim Brown directly a lot of times. Hey, it's up to y'all. Y'all got to, I call Shirley. When I say Shirley, you call someone, you guys know the culture. You guys know me. Y'all spend enough time with me. So that's me trusting that the work has already been done there. And now with that said, and I hand it over to you all to be the standard bearers, I in turn put my energy over to attracting and getting the ones that I can now place beneath you that can run, which then causes you to move up and accomplish, those senior director, executive director, national director, corporate director. Because I always told you, just get in position. Tara.
I just wanted to quickly say, sir, that it is working, what you just said. We had an awesome call yesterday with some of the other ladies, and I totally felt your influence, your, we were sounding like you, I think, at times. We would say the things that you have been saying. So just to confirm and affirm you and your work, you and Andrea, it's working. I felt like the people that was running the call were totally capable. I didn't feel like I missed anything. The level of leadership did not go down a bit because it wasn't Nate, quote unquote. It's working. So thank you. And thank you. I was lucky enough to be familiar with your leadership style. It did take a minute to kind of adjust initially, but I appreciate it. Please don't ever change. Don't ever change, because it's needed and appreciate it. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for that feedback. I love knowing that things are. Let me tell you, one of the greatest experiences I had last year, no, I think it was this year, was having an opportunity to listen into the fast track call with Kim, Shirley, Angie, and Dwayne Brown. To be a fly on the wall. You're talking about that gave me a great feeling of satisfaction, was being a fly on the wall and hearing them run their call and literally saying, okay, my work's done. They're good. They can police each other. They got the standard. They're not letting stuff slide. That's it. That is a culture. And then so what Tara just now told me, I didn't know anything about y'all having a meeting. Okay, cool. That's great. But with that happening, then we can truly do that thing that I'm talking about. And like I said, and so that's the time, but it was work. It's a slow process. It's letting you go. But it's exciting now because this wasn't planned. You guys are going through this book just like I'm going. I've never read this book. So I didn't see this. What you experienced with me wasn't predicated on John Maxwell's book. And so the revelations that I have are having it at the same time as you guys are having it. And so that's what's exciting. How much experience do you have developing other leaders? Describe what you've done and how successful you've been. Kim Foster, talk to me a little bit about your experience in developing other leaders, and what have you done, and how successful have you been at doing it? And anyone else that may have had that may have some experiences in that area.
It's interesting that you would ask me that, and as a matter of fact, I was just kind of thinking about it as I've thought about it over my years in Mary Kay and developing offspring. As a matter of fact, I developed 6, but what I discover and am discovering even now, and you know, we have our own commercial cleaning company, and not really duplicating ourselves, but the thing that I'm discovering is that I must first be developed in order to develop. And for as much as I was developed at that time, and even now, I have developed, but developing so that it sticks and stays takes a whole different kind of thing. And so now, as I look back, as I reflect, I am in the mode of being developed. You know, you and I, you know, we've got a 5-year history, and I ain't going into all of that because that's between us. But my issue with you is not you, Nate Scott. My issue with you is me. And so not wanting to deal with who you are and how you are in terms of developing leaders, in terms of calling people on the carpet, in terms of really forcing people to look at themselves, like for real, from top to bottom, in and out, up and down, all of me. I just was not willing to do that. You came at me too strong. And you came at me strong because it's what I needed, number one. It's who I am, I can take it, number two. It's really who God created me to be, but there's never been anybody in my life to come at me that way. And because I was not used to it, I ran from it. But I'm ready for you. You know, there isn't anything you can say. And I realize there are going to be some things that you're going to say to me that I don't like. And that's been my issue. You know, because of how I was wired, and I'm saying was because I'm speaking things into existence. You know, I would run from, I don't like conflict. I don't like anything that looks like conflict, and anything that kind of, you know, makes me feel like I might get back. And some of it is from my childhood, some things that went on. I run from it. But if I am going to be as influential as I know God created me to be, I'm going to have to learn to deal with and manage conflict as it comes my way. And that's what you're teaching me. And so I've developed leaders and lost leaders because I can only take them as far as I've been. It is now time for me to go as far as I need to go so that I can further develop not just myself, but those who God has given me the privilege to lead. And so that's my take on it.
Awesome. And I appreciate you for sharing it. And the reality is that you already know that you're national. I already told you that. I just told you again this week. And so I'm excited to see you continue to move forward. And the great thing about it is, you know, I ain't gonna change.
I know you're not. We good.
So remember what I said, standards are meant to be reached up to, not reached down to.
I know.
And so I said in the book, I already gave you guys the page number. I told you in the book, I said, what did I tell you? Shirley said, he went straight to the book and he pulled it right up. When I told you, Shirley, I said, I ain't gonna coddle you. I ain't gonna
hold your hold your hand and coddle you and tell you it's gonna be all right, unless
the next thing I want you to do is begin with the end in mind.
Yeah.
I consider myself to be an inspirational teacher, not a motivational speaker. I'm not trying to give you a rah-rah session, but you will be inspired.
Yeah.
You will have marching orders, but you will know what you need to do to move forward in order to seize those opportunities this great country has to offer. I won't coddle you. I won't hold your hand. I won't pat you and tell you it's going to be okay unless it's true. So I will hug you. I will tell you it's okay because I believe it's true. But you've got to believe it. You got so many people, and this is where our culture separates ourselves out, is that most people don't have people in their life that will speak truth. And so you get to that point where when truth is spoken in love, because that's the only truth. See, that's the other thing. Ain't nobody love you if they ain't telling you the truth. Think about that for a minute. If you ain't getting the truth, that's not a form of love. I love you enough to tell you the truth. You see, that's the whole idea of loving. That's why people are struggling with this whole race stuff right now. Because they don't want to get truth. Yet they want to say how much they love you. You want to love me, let's talk with and let's deal with the truth. So that then in turn we can heal. So that then we can move forward. And so on page 157, I want you to think about that last statement and think about who in your life is watching you swing. Who is your coach, your mentor? More importantly, is a person qualified to guide you where you want to go. The reason is because telling the truth can be risky. People tend to get their feelings hurt. Everyone is busy protecting the relationship, and the reality is that the relationship is often superficial or fake to begin with. My mask being in relationship with your mask, it just doesn't work very well. The problem with this scenario is this: you can't change a lie. You can't change what you aren't aware of or conscious of, and most of us are unaware of what we're doing or thinking that is holding us back and producing the results in our lives. Culture, leadership, having the courage to tell the truth. To develop others, you got to be able to let a person know when they tell you these whimsical goals and tell you things that they will tell you because they think it's what you want to hear, to be able to say to them, it's fine and good, but what are you going to do? And then hold people accountable to that which they say, because you've been leading by example. That's why it's critical that you commit to leadership development. As chapter 1 of my book says, leadership is the answer, chapter 1, because it begins with you and I. We're the assets. Let's make ourselves the most valuable that we can be. And then that in turn sets the example for all others to follow. All right. How was your leadership developed? Did anyone take an active hand in teaching you and helping you to succeed? How does this influence your mindset on leadership development? That's another discussion question. Anyone want to address how was your leadership developed?
So,
Go ahead.
oh, go ahead. No, go ahead, Sharwanda.
I'm going to say it's real interesting, that question, as I think about the different realms that I've existed in terms of work. From teacher to district to assistant principal to now a cabinet position, I don't recall, unfortunately, a lot of conversation about leadership until 3 years ago. I participated in a national training program in which now I'm training to become a facilitator. And I'm going to be honest with you and tell you, I have to develop a lesson plan, and much of what we have discussed this morning will be in my lesson plan, because if you've never been posed with the question of how you define leadership, you can think you're a leader all day long and not be. And then when I go back to the difference between a manager and a leader, I don't know very many managers who have the opportunity to be seen as the visionary. Normally that's the leader, that's the visionary. But if we truly understand the definition of leader, by all means, we can be a leader in our own environment, no matter what our title is. So I'm just going to say that there's not a lot going on in education right now with regards to teaching people to be leaders. But as we become better leaders, by definition of, I think that we can together build that capacity.
Yep. And that's the expectation. Go ahead, Andrea.
Yeah, I want to just share too, carrying over what Shawanda shared, because I've always known, and again, my mom's on the Zoom as well, that I was influential, whether it was in my family or whatever, but I don't ever recall a time when I was taught how to lead or given leadership, other than really using the Bible or the principles of leading with, my heart, but really never really had any formal training until I started with the Mary Kay, and then I started like, okay, let me get some books. I started seeing some characteristics in women that I would go and see. And back when I started, we didn't have the internet, and we didn't have Zooms and conference lines and stuff. We had to literally get in our cars and drive, like, from Philly to North Carolina, or, wherever, to see a, national or a big time, whoever. And so I would just, watch them, and I would study them. How do they stand? How do they greet people? How do they put their attention on the people that they're talking to? How do they greet the guests, the people that were not, big, on the scoreboard, or had a title? How did they treat the little guy? And that type of thing. I just started really looking at those people. And that's when I realized, kind of like you, that there were some books that I could learn how to develop my leadership skills and what the difference was. So I literally had to self-teach, but I did have some people that I was able to watch and emulate and take those good parts. That's all. So.
All right. Anyone else? Okay. If you have spent time developing leaders in the past, what part did you find most difficult? And why? If you haven't, what do you anticipate will be the most difficult?
Okay, so I can talk about this all day long. I think the thing that was most disheartening for me is
now, is disheartening the same as difficult? Because I don't understand.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Okay. So let me. Okay. The thing that was most difficult was, is managing my expectations. Really, that was the most difficult part. Was managing my expectations. I was willing to lead by example and do those things that I taught, but I think it's just really managing my expectations. I'll just leave it at that.
All right. Now, we're in a safe place. You guys be careful with what you give back to me, because it then may cause me to make a pause and go into coaching mode. So I say that to simply say that expectations first begin with self. If your expectations are less than that which you have of yourself, then that would make it difficult, because it then takes away your power to be able to hold people accountable. Think about that for a minute. I've seen people, which you guys have heard me talk about, I don't want you in management mode. Don't be talking about you gonna go develop some director. You listen to one of these calls and they talk about the different positions, and then you say, I'm gonna be director 3, and I'm gonna find me a director. And I say, no. Don't get into management mode. Mind your own business. Why am I saying that? because I'm trying to get you into that mode where your example is one where you're in the mode of building. You're doing the work so that you don't do that which people oftentimes do, which is go recruit somebody and then they spend the entire month trying to get them to do stuff. Hey, hey girl, what you doing? Hey, how your numbers looking? You doing, how your party's looking? All that. I'm in the various times in which I've been involved with network marketing. One thing I've always been very clear with people is that I'm independent. I signed an independent agreement. I don't work for you. Don't be calling me up asking me about what I'm doing. Don't be acting like I'm supposed to be making you money, because I didn't sign up for that. So as you guys continue to move forward, don't get into management mode. Mind your own business, so that when someone raises their hand and tells you that they have a goal, and you go to opening up the month and you get the person's goal and you ask them, do they want your help? And they give you permission. Then you set out the plan and then you hold the person accountable to what they say. But otherwise, just continue to stay in build mode until you come across another person that raises their own hand and says they want to, they self-identify, and then they go do the work by themselves. Does that make sense? Have you guys experienced that with me before?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the backstory to that. So what has been difficult though? What's been difficult if you've had experience with developing leaders in the past? What's been the most difficult part? If not, what would you think is going to be what do you anticipate being the most difficult part?
I think the mindset,
Mm-hmm.
I would think, just, how people think, all of the stories that they've been told in their life, all of the things that have led up to what they're thinking. And even for myself,
yeah,
mindset, just changing your mind, man, allowing your mind to be changed, realizing that it is okay to change. It's okay to be different. It's okay to look another way. Just, I think mindset.
I think so. Anyone else?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think.
Okay, somebody who pick up.
Okay, this is Cheryl. I was just going to say, yes, I was just going to say that something that I've seen is that people have the fear of failure, and some of the most successful people that we know of have failed many times, multiple times, and I think people have to understand that it's a part of growth. If you don't win, you've learned, hopefully. So it's not winning or losing, it's learning. What did you learn from it that you can benefit to move forward? But I think a lot of times, what was just mentioned about the mindset, people have this fear of failing, of not achieving the level of the word that was used earlier also, the level of expectation that's set for them. And they don't want to disappoint. It's all part of that mindset. Because I've had people who I've tried to assist in going to the next level that flat out said, hey, I'm not ready for that yet, and so they get in that comfort zone. And if they're never challenged to that next level, they'll never go, because that complacency sets in. Here we are again, back at that mindset. So I think it really has a lot to do with that mindset of the person you're trying to develop. You may see the leadership qualities in them, but they don't see it yet. And it might be because they've tried in certain areas or certain positions or what have you, and they've been told, oh no, let this person do it, that's not how it needs to be done or what have you. And it probably, I don't know, killed their esteem, or what have you. But I know a lot of people I've seen push back. They just push back. I'm not ready yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. Somebody else was starting when Cheryl started.
This is Tara. I'm thinking of a couple of things. I just want to speak quickly on the fact that, you know, a lot of us are making reference to corporate work and other like organizations, but we, you know, it would behoove us to be mindful of the fact that in most of those environments, building people and having leaders emerge was not the goal. Those were businesses with their own mission statements and things that was important to them. So when you think in terms of what we're doing now and what's different in this culture, it is all about leaders and moving into that space. And I like what the last speaker just said about, you know, situations, circumstances. It's not a failure, it's a lesson. You're not gonna always win, and that should not always be the goal. The point is to learn and to grow. And to speak on what I think would be difficult as in developing leaders, for me, is managing distractions. And when I think about how Nate always mentions being on the battlefield and leading the troops, and it's like, okay, the mission has to happen. If something happens to me, you know, everybody else still needs to move forward and get and accomplish the mission. And so just learning how to effectively manage those distractions. Life is happening all around us every day, but how do we mitigate and manage that and still continue to move forward is that's where I'm learning and growing there.
All right, Sherilyn.
Okay, basically, I was thinking about where I was when I first came in, this accepting the truth about who you are at the time that you first become in and learning that you are a leader. And it was the mind change, the behavior change, to believe. And I think that's one of our issues is, do we really believe in what has been said? Do we really believe what is being taught enough to accept it, to make that change that we need to make in our personal development? So that's one of the things that I think is one of the hardest things, is just the fact of being honest, to receive, then to believe, then to apply it. And I believe once, this is what I've done for me, I only can speak for me. And once I believe enough to apply it, then see the difference between where I was in the past to where I am now in the future, that now I see the evidence of that change. I see the evidence of being that influencer. I see the evidence of being the one that can continue to live it where they can see it. That's the whole development of what I'm looking at now, of this, just that, to become that greater leader, to be the one that they can see and want to follow. That's it.
Thank you. Now, Sherilyn is somebody that told me with a degree of excitement about how she has truly embraced who she is, and that she gets what I mean by she's the asset, and how she's engaging with people from her authentic self, and how it's simply flowing for her with moving them through the process. Sherilyn, want to share a little about that, what you told me about?
Okay, yes, I'll let it to you. I had a situation where I had contact someone and began to just basically just call and talk to her about, just the opening, how you're doing, how you're feeling, what's going on with it today, and just checking on you. And the young lady began to talk to me, and I began to listen. I mean, just literally listen to what she was saying, and she began to share what was going on with her. And she had a situation where she was using these products, and the products almost took their lives. and I began to minister to her. I forgot about what we was talking about, and I just began to minister to her situation. It wasn't about the products, it was just me ministering to her about everything that was going on with her, and I forgot about the reason I had called. And I ministered to the point that she was blessed and I was blessed, and we went to worship, went to praise. I mean, it was just awesome. And when we got through and she received, I got through praying for her, got through ministering to her, and got through praying, and we hung up. And not probably even 30 minutes later, she called back. She said, "Girl, we got so caught up, I forgot what you I know you called for something. What was it? What you called me for?" And so at that point, I got an aha moment, and I realized it's not about calling them, about trying to get someone to come into Mataluca. It's not about it has nothing to do with that. It's all about the relationship. It's all about being a person, authentic you. Just be who you are, and that's who I am. I'm a person already as a servant of God's servant. I'm a person at heart I just love listening to people and being a blessing where they are, and hopefully to encourage them, or hopefully to pray for them. That's just who I am as a minister of God. I've always been there. It's not something that had to, something I was trying to do. If it's nothing like that, he's always told me, "Sherlyn, you're an asset. You're an asset. Sherlyn, you're an asset. It's not about the quantity. It's about the quality, Sherlyn." And everything he tells me personally, I listen to and I pay attention to, because I'm trying to develop me, the greater me, the asset me, that people can look at me and they can see me and they can watch and follow me. And so with that, at that moment, I learned that when she called me back, she became a customer. At that moment, I was able to share with her the information. We talked about the video and all of that, because the video was where she was. And so, man, it just blesses me just to be me and to keep doing what I'm doing, because that's the asset part of my life, is that I am a servant. I am one who loves God's people, and who's concerned about them. And as I go along, that leadership that he is talking about in me, that asset that I am to people, everything is going to come naturally. This is just Matthew 6:33. It's going to come naturally. And so with that, I'm grateful, and every day I get up to live, to be that asset, and to live that life every day. And as I continue to know, I'm going to continue to grow. And as I continue to apply this knowledge, that's the knowledge that's going to be seen by everybody. And that makes me feel good that I'm on in that area. Thanks.
All right, thank you. So now let's bring this thing home in regards to the unique opportunity that's being presented here. The reason why I'm reading this book and I'm going through this book is because for what we're creating, what we're developing, and the goals that we have, it requires people that can actually achieve a position and title that corresponds with a level of leadership. A baseline is a senior director position and title. A senior director has an organization of 500 plus people. We got a voluntary organization. Therefore, it will require someone that is a leader to have people, to be able to move people along, because as a senior director, you need 5 people that are directors. With that being the measurable outcome, the question is, what will be my greatest challenge in developing you as a leader? we have an opportunity that's very unique because I'm telling you something very specific about what it is that I'm doing. And I'm going into study mode, and you're getting a chance to actually see the blueprint in which I'm going through. You are able to see that I'm attracting, developing, and multiplying leaders. I've already spent a year with you. So now as we move into this next phase of now identifying people to take to be in those positions, senior director, executive director, and beyond. Because remember, we started out the year with me saying I want to help 50 people become senior directors and 20 to become executive directors. The executive director has about 1,000 people in the organization. The executive director's average income is $163,000, $1,000 car bonus. So what will be the greatest challenge I will have in helping and developing you? So let me begin with you, Tara. What's going to be my greatest challenge in developing you as a leader?
Like I pointed out just a moment ago, managing distractions.
My greatest challenge.
Your greatest challenge
in developing you as a leader.
Helping me to develop my steadfast system to manage distractions in.
That's too cloudy. What's going to be my greatest challenge with developing you?
I will say really driving home that I am the asset and that I have the gifts in me. I've walked it out, but I don't have any way of measuring. I have not, the accountability is not there for myself. I just kind of get her done haphazardly.
What's going to be my greatest challenge with developing you as a leader? Reflect on that. Go ahead and start journaling on it. I'll come back to you. Kim Brown.
Okay.
I don't know. I may have to ponder further because I'm not. I would say I would have answered probably pretty similar to how Tara answered. So maybe I'm not seeing how it needs to be drilled down.
Okay. Introspection. Go ahead. Yep. So take a moment, reflect. Shirley, what would be my greatest challenge in developing you?
To work with me more about developing others.
No. What will be my greatest challenge in developing you?
That's what I'm to help me to follow up with my new members.
My greatest challenge in developing you.
Okay, Shirley, not understanding what you're saying.
Okay. Kim Foster.
Your greatest challenge in developing me, and I hope I'm understanding your question. I know you'll correct me if I'm not, but I'm gonna say that you're not gonna have a challenge in developing me because I'm ready. And I'm tired, Nate, of where I am. And with all of that, then I have to release everything I thought I knew up until this point that has gotten me where I am, which is absolutely not where I want to be. And so if what I'm saying is really true, you're not going to have an issue with developing me because I'm ready to be developed. And I hope that I understood your question.
Thank you. Val, what would be my greatest challenge in developing you?
I'm gonna just piggyback off of Kim. I'm ready and I'm tired. I'm tired of where I am. At first, I was thinking while I was listening to the others that the distractions, as Tara was saying, and all of that. But no, I need to be, or I am ready to be coachable. I thought I was ready, but I am ready to be coachable. Because I've been so independent minded and on my own for so long on making decisions that was one area that was an issue. But I'm convinced that this baby that you're birthing is real. And I know you have particularly my best interest at heart. So I'm ready. So no, there isn't any challenges at all. I'm ready. I'm ready. And that's it.
Okay, Mom.
Yeah, well, like we always say, this is a family and we can always speak candidly. I think your biggest challenge would be for me to be accountable. Um, you show me and I can do it. If I have to sit down and read a plan, it's not going to be done. Another thing is I'll do things, but I like to do it on my term. And I think it's just being too comfortable. I just think that because, everything, and the money is good because I know by you working with me, not helping me because people don't want help, supporting me in the direction to go, I can be a blessing to a lot of people. And that's just my biggest thing. I am not, I'm coachable to an extent, but it's the accountability. I like to do things on my term. It will be done, but it's taking too long. And that will be your biggest challenge, I think, if I'm understanding your question the right way.
Thank you. Shawanda.
Okay, I've listened to Ms. Johnson, Kim. I too, as well as Val, don't think that there will be a challenge. I think I might have a challenge, but you have set the groundwork for where we need to be in terms of our thoughts about leadership. So once I put myself aside and follow the leader and learn from the leader, I will become a better leader. So the challenge will be me, it won't be you.
All right, thanks, Deb. What would be my greatest challenge in developing you as a leader?
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
I've listened to everybody. I think your greatest challenge with developing me as a leader is accountability as well. If I go back to just to answer that question, I think having someone watch me swing, and as Kim Foster said earlier, having to look at the man in the mirror is a challenge for me. And then resisting my own urge to to fall back to my raggedy habits. And when it's uncomfortable, while I'm okay with uncomfortable situations, I have to own that emotionally regulating myself to manage that is tough. Unlike Tara, the rapid fire, sometimes communication style makes me uncomfortable. And my raggedy habit is to self-soothe and comfort myself is to avoid. Therefore, I may not want to talk to you about what I didn't do because I don't want to deal with I don't want to deal with the consistent, what did you do? I don't want to hear the Master Yoda, do or do not, there is no try. You don't allow me to go back to my excuses And so the greatest challenge is for what's going to be Nate's greatest challenge with developing me as a leader is holding me accountable without room for or space for any of my former excuses.
Awesome.
Don't know.
Awesome. Cheryl.
Okay. Hey. Okay, so I'm thinking about that, and really, I don't know if the challenge would be with you, you know, as I'm just thinking about that question. And I think the biggest challenge is basically me getting out of my own way. I can't put that on anyone else because the leader is within.
Well, Cheryl, let's redirect that real quick. Let me ask you this: are you a part of Life is Rich family?
Am I part of what now? I'm sorry.
Are you a part of our community? Are you a guest?
Oh, I am a guest.
Okay, so yeah, so you are experiencing something that you're a guest, and so to that end, it wouldn't apply because you're not a client of mine. So that means you're not working with me. So this is something where the question is, this is where if you had my book, I would have you read chapter 13 so that you can look in your own situation and your own life and answer the question of who is in your life that is watching you swing. There's an excerpt in my book in which I talk about too many people believe that practice makes perfect. Nothing could be further from the truth. Practice makes permanent. Practice is what creates our habits, and our habits are what are running the bulk of our lives and thus creating our future. See, I believe that each of us is in charge of our own destiny, and each of us was born to be great. I do not say that each of us are born great, but rather born to be great. Daily habits done daily build character, which is required to focus on perfect practice, which leads to perfect. Unfortunately, part of being human is to see if we can do the least amount and somehow get the most. We live in a culture that seems to be based on instant gratification, which is a surefire formula for failure in every aspect of your life. The problem is that none of us can see ourselves swing. We're all too often are unconscious of what we're doing to sabotage our lives. I believe the higher you want to go, and this is really where the thing is for any guests, I believe the higher you want to go and the more success you desire in any endeavor, the greater the likelihood is that you will need a mentor or a personal coach. So Cheryl, real quick, what do you do professionally?
Actually, I'm a therapist.
You're a therapist, and what's your specialty?
A clinical therapist.
Got it.
Mental health.
Mental health. Okay. And how old are you?
How old am I?
Yes.
I'm 54.
54. Okay. At this stage of life, what is it that you're desiring over the next? What's your desire over the next 11 years? What are you aspiring for? What's your goal?
Oh wow. I have quite a few.
Top three. Give me the top three.
Top three right now. Let me just say the number one goal right now is to expand as far as offering services, consulting services, offering supervision to up and coming counselors, and to start my online business offering therapeutic services.
Okay. And so when you get those things, what's the desired outcome? Start with why. What's the why? Those are the what's. What's the why?
I'm all about helping people go to the next level, stepping it up. I do believe in part of what you just said, as far as we're not necessarily born that way, but we are developed, and that's part of my goal, is to help develop people to their best selves.
Okay. Why?
helping them see that.
Why?
Why? It's a passion of mine because I guess one of the things, and I don't know if it's because, I've had to do it on my own for myself. Didn't really have people helping me, but I do have a passion for helping others to get to that level, and seeing people grow. I think, yeah, it goes a lot deeper. I don't think we have the time.
Okay, and then,
time,
so these are some little things to make note of. Okay, and so then, and how will you know when you get there? What's the why? What's the measurable outcome as a result of you doing that? The what?
What's the measurable outcome? Them thriving, and that whatever that level is, going from where they are now to where the opportunities exist.
Okay, so what's the measurable outcome for you? The measurable
that they can sustain on their own.
The measurable outcome of you helping 1,000 people. How does that solve your why? What is the thing? See, and this is for everyone. I want you guys to pick up on the line of questioning, and this is an example about this thing about leadership and moving people and helping people to get developed, is that the questions that I'm asking is to make something clear so that in turn, then a plan can be put in place that brings about the desired outcome, especially if anyone's in business. Now, Cheryl, are you in business?
Oh, I'm doing business every day.
So are you in private practice? Are you in your own business?
No, but I do provide services.
Okay. As an employee or self-employed or?
Well, contracting.
Independent contractor. Okay. Independent contractor. Okay. So most of everyone on here is doing some type of independent contracting. So for all you independent contractors doing any type of business where you actually are doing services, as you're going through this idea, yes, the whole idea of you helping other people get what they want, you can have everything you want. So what is it that you want? Because sadly, what happens is, and the reason why we have this financial danger that no one is talking about, is sadly, most people are not talking in the concrete. So therefore, there's no measurable outcomes. And so then when time ticks away, we look up and we didn't begin with the end in mind. And that's one of the things, just this little segment that I'm doing and demonstrating with Cheryl, because she's a guest, because she doesn't have the relationship with me like I have with you all. She can't answer the question of what's going to be my greatest challenge in developing her. See, all I did was I just took the discussion question that we were going through, and this question was, if you have spent time developing leaders in the past, what part did you find the most difficult and why? I'm being preemptive because you guys are this community that I'm saying, yeah, I'm going to go and attract new people, and I'm going to be attracting specific new people. But you guys are already here. It's like having an athletic team. I told Andrew this morning. The team go for a championship organization can do it, 3 different ways. They have the people that's already in the organization. Let's say the Lakers already had people in the organization, and they went out and got a free agent in LeBron James. They went and got somebody that was attracting a leader, and they brought that leader into that established organization. They had people on the bench already that already been there. They were role players that they were going to continue to develop. And then whenever the college draft comes up, then they get others brought in that way. That's the same type of thing that we have to do here. You guys are already in the organization. It's been you spent a year already in the organization. So it only makes sense for me first to see how many of you are going to show up here, so I can see who I'm really going to be working with. Meaning, where I'm going to put my time at. People that are not plugged into this, then they're not going to get my time, because I already told you guys at the end of the year, my shift is I'm already making that transition. So you guys are the I begin with you right now. And so the question I asked, I just put it to you directly, because if I'm going to be working with you, I'm saying, okay, you self-identify. What's going to be the greatest challenge? What's going to be most difficult for me in working with you to help you be that executive director? And why will that be our issue? So that's the rationale behind the question as to how I flipped it. I hear you. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Okay, so I'm not sure what you're asking me now.
Oh, no, so you're good. So anyway, so the reason I say that, so my encouragement to you is, because I was going through I would have taken you through a mini coaching session, but the point is that where you're at in if you don't have someone in your life that is holding you accountable to those things in which you say you want to accomplish, that's something that I would encourage you to do. Even if you just got my book and just read it, it could be a great resource, because it's really that part about who's in your life that's watching you swing.
And right. And so I have a team of folks that have different areas of expertise that I'm tapping into.
Excellent. But there you go.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yep. So,
and I am reading too. So,
got it. So the only difference is that
read.
whole accountability fact, that piece where, because these people here we're connected in a common endeavor. And so with that said, we have metrics, and those metrics are tied to dollars and cents. If they don't see their life change financially, then we're not hitting the mark. And that's the piece that I talk to all business owners about in general, because sadly, many people are quote unquote in business, but many they'd be better suited if they're working, many people going into this thing called business, but literally they'd be better suited if they were working a job, because literally they're working all those hours doing all that work and not making any money. But that's where great coaching comes in, literally where you set your goals, you know what you have, and in turn you give someone permission to speak into your life and hold you accountable, because you do want to you want to go to the next level. So Andrew just said, let you know that if you didn't know the backstory of Andrew and I, that's how Andrew and I met. Andrew and I met with her after she read my book, and after she had me speak, she hired me. So that's how our relationship began. So, okay. But thank you as a guest being on here. I know that was a bit intense, but thank you for that piece, because I did.
Yeah,
Andrew, come on from me, sweetie. You keep hollering downstairs. Andrew just asked me. She's not getting, unless she's getting off right now. I'm not going value statement yet. So, all right. So thank you. Let's see who was next. Kendra.
I think your biggest challenge would be slowing me down. Like I just move based off of like emotions or what I want to do, just like, and not really thinking about what I, what I'm doing. I think I just move fast. Like, yeah. So.
All right. I'm going to process that one. All right. So.
Well, because.
Val. Huh?
Oh, no, I thought you were processing. Okay.
Yeah. Not rapid. No, I'm not. I received what you said. I'm processing it, because before we get to slowing you down, because that's really more of you. That's not. I'm not going to be tasked with slowing you down. So that wouldn't be a leadership challenge for me. That wouldn't be something that I would find difficult in developing you. Maybe what precedes the slowing you down.
At my mouth.
Okay. So would that be the I know?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
There we go. Yeah. So that's the part of the thing that, yeah, it would be difficult for me in developing you as a leader if I perceive you already know it, because then what will happen is I go to quiet. Then I'm like, well, I don't need to waste my time because you already know.
Is saying I know more of a habit than a declaration?
I think for me, saying I know is like, I already know what I think you're going to say. So, yep, I know.
Okay.
Before you even get it out, I know it. Like, I know. Because, and for years, my name, Kendra, means the knowing woman. And so for years, I always tell my kids, what's my name? What does it mean? They're like, oh, mom. But yeah, so whatever somebody says to me, I always think in my mind that I know where they're going and I know what they're going to say. So I say, yep, I know. I got it. Like, I got it.
So the challenge really is recognizing that you know certain concepts, like you know all the fundamentals of all this stuff, applying or finding out what you need to do best to make stuff work.
I heard Ramon.
You need to give Ramon the phone, Kendra, because I heard him, but he was fading away, but he sounded like he was talking good.
Yeah, give it to him.
Go ahead.
Give it to him.
Speak up.
I think the challenge is that we know a lot of fundamental stuff. We know a lot of all the metrics of all this stuff. So how do we get it? How do we find out what the bugs are that are preventing us from going forward?
Well, he's saying his challenge.
Yeah, that will be the challenge of a mentor or of somebody working with people like us. Because we do know a lot of smack. We do know a lot of stuff, but there's bits and pieces of stuff that kind of prevent us from moving forward. And that will be the challenge of somebody looking at our screen.
Page 161. Your best thinking got you to where you are today with your life.
Mm-hmm.
If you could have done it differently, you would have. But you didn't, so you couldn't. Think about that. If your best thinking got you to where you are right now, would it be helpful for you to have some different thoughts?
Yes.
To have someone watch you swing and to correct your swing so that you can produce better results in your life.
Exactly.
Are there some changes? Are there some areas of your life that you know you need to change, but you just haven't done it? See, change is easy. You don't have to do anything. Just sit back and change will happen. Change is automatic. Growth is not. Do you have a growth plan for your life? Growth is not an automatic process. You must have a plan. Where you are in your life today is a direct reflection of your standards. The quality of your life is nothing more than the quality of your standards. I believe that to change your life, you must change your standards, and that requires change and growth and a plan.
Yeah.
If you have a desire to take your life and your business to the next level, if you want to create spectacular results in every aspect of your life, if you want to live your passion full time, then my mentoring program is for you. Let us become the change we seek in this world. The whole idea of if you know, then you do. If you ain't doing, then you ain't knowing. And that right there can definitely be a challenge. But what's exciting is what we just now went through. Hopefully everyone grew from just that little interaction right there. You know, when you heard Kim kick it off with talking about being ready. If you think about how we open up the month of, do you have a goal? Is the timing right? Yeah, okay, great. Do you want my help? Yes. Boom. Then we go into laying out the plan. That's what makes an effective mentoring coaching relationship. Now, you guys have access to me, but you don't have what Andrea put up to have a relationship with me. And that's one of the biggest problems, is that you have no real skin in the game when it comes to the consequence. Because in those coaching relationships that I have with my clients, they pay, and if they already know, if they don't want to take whatever I'm giving, I'm good, because my money's already made, right? But in the scenario right here, you've got to be a pleasure to work with. And the way that you are a pleasure to work with is by how you take and apply and then produce results. And that's what's exciting about this, is that now as we're going through this, just the way I flipped that question around this in the book, dealing with, say, preparation, well, I'm letting you guys see the inside, and I'm trying to get the answers directly from you so that you can go ahead and say, you know what? I verbalized that this is going to be my challenge, but you know what? Now that I've verbalized, how are we going to change it? What will we do not so that that's not the challenge, so that we don't have that to deal with and we can continue to move forward? Does that make sense?
Totally.
Got it. That's what's exciting, because all of this is off the cuff, real time. Sherilyn,
Yes, sir.
what about you?
I'm always open to development. I'm always open to grow. So there's not a challenge with me. You tell me, I do it, because I know that I want that change, and I daily work on that change so that you can see that change, that you're not wasting your time with me. So that's just that plain.
That's right. And the thing is, guys, you guys know, and even in hear her voice, you can tell that, and that has been consistent. So little details like that you can pick up on. More times than not, I'll ask Sherilyn things, and she'll say, hey, I got it. Hey, it's what you've always said. You've already been doing that. It's literally like boom, boom, boom. I barely talk to Sherilyn. We don't talk like we talk because she's got a full slate. We don't talk like that. But it's in her heart. It's not in her head, it's in her heart. So that means she just goes because she trusts. I know she trusts and she believes. And so that's an example right there by just how fluid that was. And it's not for you can't be there. So don't try, you can't model that. You can't model that. But at least you got an example. And in turn, you have something where you can say, okay, let me see how you can start monitoring your own self as far as your own individual growth. Because trust is not something that leadership isn't something that can be demanded. It's like the whole deal with Christ's relationship, which I try to model with you guys. Everything we're always pointing back to the word. I can't demand anything. It's like, here I am. And every day I open myself up to your scrutiny for the purposes of determining so that you can where you can have absolute belief. Because once that happens, then it's game over. And a lot of that belief has to do with your own self. I'm just trying to get you guys to believe in yourself. I'm like, I see you. I know what's already promised. I'm like, yo, just believe. Just believe, because I know what you believe by what you do. If you hee-hawing around, if you tap-doing around, you tiptoeing, you dipping your toe in, and you kind of iffy, I'm always trying to just give you information to say, hey, trust him, trust that which he's already promised to you. Trust. Now, master the process. If you do that, everything takes care of itself. That's my role. That's the purpose. That's the role I serve in your lives. That's my role. Mashawn, actually, you're coming back, so I don't think you came in. You may not have been a part of all we've done. So let me go.
I was here, but I just got a call, so sorry.
Shirley. Oh, coming back to you, Shirley and Kim Brown.
Okay. My greatest my challenge that I need your help with, I don't know exactly how you did the question.
Let me say it again. What
Yeah.
will be my greatest difficulty in developing you as a leader?
It will be negative people around me and in my head.
I can't do anything about that. I can't do anything about the people about. No, that's not, because that's not it. I won't even care anything about no negative people around you. That has nothing to do with anything on my part. So, but you did say the last part, and I'm gonna go ahead and give it to you. It's your mindset. It's yours. My greatest difficulty in developing you will be your personal belief and your personal development. Your upside potential is based upon your immersion in personal development. It's not a race, but you've got to wash out all the things that counter what God says about you. You got to immerse yourself. That's it. And for most of you all, that's it for all of you, honestly. You got to commit to one more time. Go ahead, Shirley.
I have done that in so many things because I have gotten people out of, I don't even talk to people that I
didn't say anything about getting rid of people. Listen to what I just said.
Oh.
Very specifically. I just said it very specifically. You have to immerse yourself in personal development.
Okay.
That means you can cut off the TV and be reading.
Mm-hmm.
That means you studying. That means you're listening to videos. That means you're listening to tapes. That means re-grooving. That's just talking about just changing the grooves in your mind. Now you got to realize where you're at in your age, and I'm saying something to you. I'm saying that all those things that you may have experienced throughout your life, I'm saying that I'm giving you something very, very, I'm saying this isn't something going to be overnight, but I'm telling you how to shorten the learning curve up. Because then what you'll do is you'll start to exude, and then you'll attract. Remember what I said, you're going to attract who you are, not what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start to focus in that area, then what happens is you're not going to be unsure. You're not going to be jumping from this to that or thinking that there's a magic pill. I already told you, you know how to do, you've got it. Your personality is warm. You are engaging. You've just got to believe that you're good enough. You got to understand and believe that people don't make a decision because of you. They make a decision because of them. That's for all y'all as well. People make decisions based on who they are, not because of who you are. Mm-hmm. That's why I don't take offense to people saying, passing on whatever, because there's a standard. So all you want to do is make sure that you just continue to project the best version of yourself. Just grow. But don't get frustrated, don't get down, but literally just simply recognize that there are levels, and I'm holding you to, I'm saying that I see the greatness in you. So that means, no, we're not playing small. We ain't doing this thing where we check the box and we all of a sudden, hey, how did I do now? No, listen, Andrea gets the same thing for him at the house. Hey, I got my enrollment, I got my 2. Okay, and did they order? Okay, great. What the point total?
Nate, why you gotta always be putting? Why stuff to stay in our house just can't stay in our house? Why don't we gotta be on Zoom and on recordings and everything like that? You gotta be telling folks my business.
This is our house.
Because you the lady, you next to him, and you're helping us.
That's why, because we're in the house. We're in the house. We family.
You be taking advantage of me, Nate.
I'm gonna take advantage of you later, baby girl.
Oh, please, boy, shut up.
All right.
I
Okay.
got you, Nate. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Tara.
Yes. So I had
What
jotted.
would be? Go ahead.
I dropped it in the chat so I could see it. And what I wrote was your challenge with me is helping me to own my awesome, to be it all for myself. I feel like I can throw my hat in anybody else's goals and hopes and dreams and push and run the course and be that, my disclaimer is I'm the number one cheerleader. Well, I need to learn to do that for myself and commit to the commitment. I could think of a lot of things that I need to do and it's in my head, but I got to bring my heart on board as well. So your challenge is helping me to organize my life and give myself space. Okay.
That ain't my challenge. Nope. My challenge ain't nothing to do with organizing your life. Here's the greatest challenge for me with you, Tara, that you've shown me to be. My greatest challenge with you has been your follow-through,
right,
which is the stem of accountability. That's it. You'll say so many words, then I'm literally like, okay, Tara, what does that mean? So what? The shift for you has to deal with, you've got to follow through. Nix the excuses and just keep your word to yourself. And that's why that accountability partner is critical.
So may I say something to that?
Yep.
I hear you. I hear you. And I think in my way, I was saying exactly that. The challenge for me in my life is that I have committed to so much and I'm trying to be reliable and accountable and all of that in so many areas that it is easy for me to push my personal goals and all of those things to the side.
Let me
Because
help you with that. Let me help you with that. Let me help you with that. Let's for everyone. Here's that's why you got to begin with the end in mind. The first thing that you have to do is slow down. Okay, this is when. Okay, here's a slow down moment. This is that pause button. I need each one of you to get clear about. Be clear about what your values are, what you value most. Because the thing I've given you as a framework is for you to live in fullness every day. So the things that are competing for your time, just like your income, for those of you that have graduated from the financial class, write that stuff down. And then just like I talked to you about creating a zero-based budget, create a zero-based budget for your life.
Hey, Tara, how you doing? I just want to let you know we're in your backyard.
Okay.
Hey, quick question. Is you doing this the same career?
Okay, so create a zero-based budget for your life. What I'm saying to you is we all have the same 1,440 minutes per day. Stop with if you've got the propensity to talk about how you are the martyr and you're the one, you're doing things for everyone else and you don't do it for yourself, stop. I mean, I hate when parents talk about that in their children. I did all this because of my children. I put my stuff on the back burner because my kid. No, stop. That's a built-in excuse. Moving forward, when you decide to do something, just say you make the decision to do it. It's just true. It's that for you financial people, opportunity cost. Doing one trades off, cancels out something else. And that's okay. That's really okay. Just keep whatever commitment that you make, whatever that is. because then your character is being developed. And your character is a thing that's going to keep everything. You're going to learn later on as we get through, when we get into the soul identifying leaders, you're going to find that the character piece is the part that's really the cusp of finding those leaders. And that's where it really begins. That first thing is with oneself. So we have things going on. We have things but just recognize you can't do everything. So you just got to choose. And then we have seasons. And we got to just choose. That's why when we open up the month, we always got to say, hey, how does this month look for you? Is the timing right for you? This here, if you take that whole idea and you take that practice, zero-based budget, zero-based life, account for all your time, account for all your money. That's a practical step I'm giving to you that you'll see impact your life tremendously. I promise you. I promise you. Because then you'll be, oh, last lesson. I wonder if anybody from class, I ain't going to put you on the spot for it. The budget gives you freedom. The budget gives you freedom. Accounting for your time gives you freedom. Choosing what to do with your time gives you freedom. Freedom equals life is rich. That's what the vision is. That's what we aspire for within the Life is Rich community. Our vision is to live in fullness every day because I realize I'm Christ's heir, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, relationally, physically, financially. That's what my desire is for each and every one of you. My mission, to live each day principled, centered, based on biblical teachings, and to be a person of value and positive influence in the lives of those in my circle of influence. Life is rich. You are the asset. How to think versus what to think. Alignment before assignment. Those are some staple things to move you through your daily life that are simply practiced through this vehicle called the shopping club. But it's your daily practice that's going to help you to experience life at a whole different level. That's my aim. That's the outcome. That's the thing I'm going to measure. And I'm going to measure my effectiveness by the number of senior directors and above that we create, that we develop within this community. Did I leave anyone else out?
Me.
Okay, Mark. Yep, babe, go ahead.
Okay. Your biggest challenge in working with me is going to be being married to me. I'm sorry. The end is near. Okay, so I think your biggest problem or test is just going to be being my husband, seriously. But honestly, the accountability, really me just playing team, stepping up and bringing my best to the table, bringing the best and not reverting back to my old habits from the old habits that I had in the old ways.
All right.
Am I right?
That's for you to decide. I can't tell you what my greatest challenge is.
Well, you told everybody else.
No, I didn't.
Well, you said if they were off.
Well, I wouldn't critiquing everybody's answer. I just listen. Right. I understand what you just said. Now the question is, what are you going to do about that? That's the next question.
Better. I'm gonna play team. I'm gonna bring my best. I'm gonna watch the video every day.
See, that's the thing for every one of you. By me asking those questions, because you acknowledge whatever it is that you acknowledge, that means you're able to now address it. That's the point. Whatever it is that you've acknowledged, whatever it is that you said, you're the person in the mirror. You're the one that's going to you're the one that's going to delay whatever it is that you have waiting for you. And yeah. Let me ask you this. What would be what would we be able to accomplish that we aren't able to do right now? If Andrea, for example, let's deal with you as a practical application.
Is that question posed to me, or was it?
I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to pose it to you right now.
Mhm.
If we got past your difficulty and you grew as a leader, you developed a leader, what would we be able to accomplish that we aren't accomplishing right now?
Speed.
Huh?
Speed. More.
Give a complete sentence. What are you saying?
We'd be able to do more faster. We'd be able to accomplish more faster.
Right.
And we would be able to help more people faster.
Right. Anyone else? Kendra, for example, tell me what will we be able to accomplish? How would things be different if we were to not have this projected experience difficulty?
I think that Andrea's answer was perfect, because that's what I was thinking in my mind. I would be listening to people, and I would know how to serve them, and in turn be able to pour into them.
Okay. All right. Anyone else?
Hey, this is Nishan from Chicago, and I just wanted to speak because I have been listening, although I've been
okay.
7-minute videos and overviews in the process. I tried to come up with an answer to your question. I really don't have one because I just came in and followed the process. I just came in and actually went with what the way or the formula that you're using in order to be successful. And I can speak on the fact that I've been in Melaleuca before, and I've also on my own was able to share the online shopping club with a lot of people. But as far as being able to actually impact lives in the way that I wanted to impact lives, I was kind of lost with that. And I also felt like I was wasting my time. I feel like in this environment that I am getting the support that is necessary to build other people outside of the way that I come, because I'm a very achieving type of person, and that's sometimes intimidating. But to be able to bring people into a community where everybody has their own struggles is what has been the most gratifying, or where I can see the ability to have growth for other people. So I don't have a personal challenge, but I am grateful for the community. And I am also grateful for the successes that I've had at this time.
All right. Thank you. All right. I'm going to put a stick pin in it for right here. And because I think as a great foundational starting point, I think this is great. This also give people an opportunity to get their own book. I'm thinking, well, we'll just go through until we go through. Yeah, that's it. So let's go around the horn, get your value statement. Kim, go ahead. Brown, did you have something?
Well, actually, I didn't give my challenge, so.
Okay, please.
I would say my challenge is.
My challenge. What's going to be my greatest difficulty in helping you to develop as a leader?
Yeah, that.
Okay.
Is me not working to my fullest potential. Kind of reminds me of that childhood game, like 1, 2, 3, red light. You know, where you run and the person, you know, turns around, 1, 2, 3, red light, and then they spin around, and then you stop and freeze. And then you run a little bit, and then you freeze. Well, I need to like run like Forrest Gump and just run and just run. So I would say that that's my biggest, or your biggest challenge in developing me is just you have equipped me with things along the way. And I think that probably the underlying thing has to do with belief. So it's just I think it's just a matter of daily dying to myself, allowing myself to die and then rise up daily in order to be able to, get out of my own way and run this race, so to speak.
All right. Give me a value statement.
Hey, babe, before you do the value statements, and because that's right before we close, I just want to say this to everyone. This, to me, and I meant to say this when I was giving you the challenge that you have working with me. To me, these Saturdays Real Talk series are kind of like college courses. You know how you matriculate and you have a class and it's 3 hours or whatever, and you're there. It's like a college course and going through coursework to get your degree in whatever leadership, wealth, whatever the topics are that we are going through. And if we look at it in that manner, and just for all of you guys that are still on and that are really taking advantage of this is really coursework stuff. And I know that we as a community, as a family, we're all going to reap the benefits and the rewards from this together. So that's what I wanted to share.
All right, thank you. Cheryl, I'll let you hear a few of them first. Let's go. Deb, what's your value statement?
My value statement for today, for today's call is, I don't know, I titled it as Leadership Call, my notes for today. And my 3 points are: you attract who you are, not what you want. Self-preparedness is critical, and leading by example is reflected. My personal development and growth is reflected by walking it out daily and trusting. I need to say trusting the complete process, or trusting the process completely. That's the value I got today.
Awesome.
Leaders
Thank you, Mom.
have vision.
I'm sorry, Deb, you had anything else?
No, I'm done. Thanks.
Okay, Mom.
Well, my value statement is, first of all, it's a lot that I got from this. But my value statement is that a big dream with a bad team is a nightmare. I mean, is a nightmare. And it's something that I've been through, and teamwork makes the dream work. And I think if we all stick together, follow your lead, finance should not be a problem. We should all be rich, because like Napoleon Hill say, think and grow rich. And we have a great leader, which is Nate Scott. We have a great wellness store that we can show people how to shop and be healthy. And, we just have to, like Debbie said, trust the process, and, just get rid of the whole, I'm speaking for me now, get rid of the old mindset. And that's my biggest challenge, my mindset. I see it, I believe it, but I need to work at it. And that's it. So my biggest, value really is to pay more attention to leadership. And you like, Kim Foster say it all.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I shrink back, because, accountability it's not lovely, because for me to having to say why I didn't do it, that's just a bunch of excuses. And I'm going to be better, because there's a lot of people out there that need what we have.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mom. Michonne.
Oh,
You're on mute. You're on mute.
oh yes, I'm on mute. I was talking too. I was just about to type my farewell because I'm about to go do an overview, but I am very grateful that we do have a community, that we do have open discourse where everybody can actually be heard and grown, because that is what I am working on, just growth. I just want to be grown as a person, to be able to actually impact other people's lives, and not just people who are like me, but people who are nothing like me. And that has been my biggest challenge, is that I'm intimidating, I'm achieving, and people who don't operate out of the space that I operate from, I tend to shut down. And I don't want to be that person. I like to take a person whom is not here and then show them how to get to that space. So I really appreciate the community. I really appreciate listening to everyone and where they are and what their challenges are, and also how they're working through them and the successes that they're having. So that's been my greatest takeaway for today. And thank you everyone for sharing.
All right. Kendra?
My value statements are a zero-based budget for my time, for my life. It's going to give me freedom. I love to take that concept of a zero-based budget and then to apply it to my life. So yeah, that bring who I am to the conversations, like listen, be truly present, and just to realize that it doesn't all come at once, that I have to choose, like we have choice. I have to choose to commit to my daily habits daily. Like that's a choice that I have to make. Leading by example, by minding my business and minding my life, and be a leader who develops leaders. Really want to delve deep into this book, because I don't even think I've ever read a book on leadership before. So this will be eye-opening for me. And I just want to get clear about what my values are and what I value the most.
All right. Kim Brown.
My value statement is daily development, daily personal development is essential for me to continue to grow, for me to improve, for me to, let's say, gain momentum, and for me to achieve greater success. Also, I have to say that, sometimes, we may shrink back and don't feel that what we just being here does not offer any type of, just maybe you don't really realize how much you impact others. And I'm saying that to say that, Ms. Johnson, I so appreciate you, the fact that you have been stepping up in terms of providing feedback, because your feedback, your points of view and everything have just added, tremendous value to this space, and more importantly, even to me. So I just wanted to personally acknowledge and thank you for being present each time.
Well, we have two Johnsons. So are you talking about
you? I'm speaking about you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it, honey. Thank you very much.
Ma, you so phony. We got two Johnsons. Yeah.
All right. Val.
Mother Johnson.
what I got a value was the fact of attracting, developing, and multiplying leaders, so as to take them to the next level. And in order to do that, I've come to terms with the fact that, one, I need to have a very structured day. Well, I need to be coachable, of course, but have a very structured day. And remind myself of my why. I thought I knew my why, but now I really, after today, oh my gosh, like I've gone from being very focused to being full, being very focused to being full. And I'm excited about that. But I think the biggest part of this was the fact that it really came home that when you put God first, based on Matthew 6:33, everything else lines up. Everything else lines up, because he said to seek him first in the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Well, when you obey his will and it lines up with what he has in store for us, everything else is blessed. Everything else is blessed. So as long as I focus in on that, he's glorified, edified, and magnified, and it's all going to be well. And that's where I feel it all comes together and life is truly rich. So that's what I got of value today.
Thank you, Shirley.
Okay, what I got of value today is how to improve an organization. Good leadership grows its organization. Strong leaders represent a large, strong organization. Nate, that is you. I mean, that's what I got, because you have been growing this organization ever since we've been here. And now, since the organization is growing so like it is, I can see it, and I know the beginners, the ones that was here in the beginning, we all can see that. So that was great value for me today when that was told. Another value, I did not know that Arthur Miller was the part of the Chick-fil-A. I want to get that book and read that. Because I always like Chick-fil-A, because they have their doors closed from the beginning on a Sunday. So I want to get and look, to learn more about that. Secondly is job that will never come to an end. There is no finish line. Always a leadership shortage. Organization need more leaders, more good leaders. So again, with you going, pulling the leadership into us all, and like you said, alignment before assignment, you did that at the beginning. Now we're here at this point that we are developing leaders, and your alignment before assignment is paying off now. So that's what I got today.
All right, Shawanda.
Okay. My statement of value: belief alone is not enough to achieve. Excuses are tools of incompetence. Live it, defend it, and give it.
Awesome. Thank you. Cheryl. Could you get a value from today?
Okay. Well, I guess in one statement, I would say understanding, developing, and pursuing my purpose.
Awesome. That sounds very good. Very good. Let's see who else. Tara, did I call you?
What I got of value today, simply put, is that it is okay for me to show up for myself and be my own champion. And like you said, I mean, I'm not the number one saint in line at the gate. I always say, and I know the word, I know what I know. And I know that I'm a child of the Most High, and that he has equipped me to do his will. And if I keep that in front, and like you say all the time, everything else will be, I mean, that's the word, everything else will be added. So while I'm grabbing at and focusing on all this stuff, I'm doing too much. I just got to get back to keeping the main thing the main thing. And so that's my value from today's call.
All right. Tim Foster.
My value, what I got from today of value is strong leaders equal a strong organization. Weak leaders equal a weak organization. Belief alone is not enough to achieve. And just to simply walk out daily my growth and personal development.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Did I miss anyone else outside of Andrea? Sherilyn.
Yes, my value statement today is change is automatic and growth is not. And that I have become stay committed to myself as I have developed all these new standards and the new plans, stick to them and work that growth plan and keep it before me every day so that I definitely would show and that I am an heir and that I am living it to the fullest as others will see that that's becoming a great leader.
All right. Anyone else that I called outside of Andrea? All right. Andrea.
Yes, sir. My value statement really is the potential leaders on our team are either assets or liabilities. The potential leaders on any team are either assets or liabilities. And you are growing us and coaching us to be assets. That's what you say. We are the asset. We are the asset. I don't think any of us moving forward in this great vision of, $10 million endowment fund, I don't think any of us, especially with what's going on today in the world, I don't think any of us, especially understanding about collaborative work and coming together to do something amazing in our community. I don't think there's any of us that want to be liabilities. And so it's just about making the decision that we're going to step it up. And, each of us have to kind of go inside and do that personal work, that personal growth and development, keep showing up, but again, doing that work. And so, and then the last thing is just knowing that everything that we have experienced, everything that we do experience with you, Nate, and this is John Maxwell's newest book. So I have a bunch of John Maxwell books on my bookshelf, but I've never even heard of this one. So this is a new book. But it's so aligned, it's already aligned in everything that you already modeled for us, that we don't have a leader that just says, do this, do this, do this, and then kind of sits around and waits. You're not coaching from a seat high and lifted up and waiting for us to come and bring you all the, offerings to the altar or whatever, but you're going before us. We saw that at convention. We saw it in the magazine. We see it every month with your consistent incentive achievements. And that's one thing that we all can just come together on and say, you know what, what is the bare minimum that our culture, what is the bare minimum standard for our culture? And, Nate put it out there, senior director, as far as leadership. And also I would think is the incentives, and not letting the incentives go by without coming in and getting them, because that again is the circle of, what's it called? I can't think of the circle of something.
Influence.
Thank you. And leadership is influence, right? Leadership is influence, and again, walking across stage at convention. I have to separate all the terminologies. And walking across stage as a family at convention, everything we do now, all the standards that will be met will be for us to be able to make a statement in 2021. And so there you have it. That's my value statement.
All right. And I'm going to close it out with this one thing. I want you guys, anyone can speak up that has a thought about it or that would mind answering. How would you describe the culture of our organization? How much do you believe it is helping you to be successful? Kim Brown, let me start with you. What do you think? How would you describe the culture of our organization? How much do you believe it is helping you to be successful?
I think that we have a great culture here because, especially in just seeing how it aligns with what I've read so far in this book. It's one, first of all, it's a positive culture. It's one that wherein we're encouraged to be a part of it. It's not necessarily, it's just one where it's just, you know, here's the charge, do this, do this, do this. Like we all can have a piece in it. And sometimes when you feel that if I know that I have a piece or if I have a role to play, then that also will or can increase my, I guess, belief in what is going on, as long as I don't allow like other things to get in the way. I feel that it's a great leadership culture. And
Okay.
I was prepared to say something else, but you kind of put me on the spot.
Go ahead. What you got?
No, I actually didn't want to be one of those people, because I know that the call was ending and I don't want to be one of those. No, listen. One of those kids, you know, like when the professor is ending the class and everybody has closed their books and put their books in their backpack and they're grabbing their coffee and ready to walk out. And it's that last person that says something, you're like, oh my God, why did she? But I kind of thought of this, like in like 30 seconds or less. I just thought of like, what value have you gotten from this call?
You talking about me?
Yes.
The greatest value that I've gotten is that I see that the time in which I've put in has been productive, because I can see that that there's understanding.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm always talking about knowledge, information, understanding is comprehension, wisdom is applied knowledge. I learn and I get value every time because you guys are my report card. The reason I do these value statements at the end, because it allows me to get compensated when there's that this is my compensation. Because my personal mission is to live each day principle-centered based upon biblical teachings and to be a person of value and positive influence. So that's the backstory to why I do what I do. So every day I wake up and go about life, and before I go to bed at night, I'm reflecting on, was I a person of value and positive influence today? And I don't rely on myself to get that, to determine that. It's another lesson to take away. You're the determinant of whether or not I'm an effective leader. I can know that I'm a leader, but without me walking across the stage and advancing and seeing people advancing, It's nothing in regards to the public opinion and public evaluation. So that's my greatest value. My greatest value is the feedback that comes. I'm a student, and so as I said, whether or not you guys were on here or not, this is what I was doing. so I'm doing my personal growth and development. You just enhance it because it forces me to be in a position to teach. That's another lesson. That's another leadership lesson. If you are serious about growing, then immediately go give it away. What else? What other questions? Did I answer your question, Kim?
You did. Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Nate,
All
can
right,
I?
Nate. Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
Is
Kim,
that okay?
please.
Okay, so I would say that I absolutely believe in the Life is Rich. I look at it as an all-inclusive resort. You've got your airfare, you've got your lodging, you get your 3 meals a day, all your soft drinks, most of the alcoholic beverages that you would like, and your gratuity, all of the whatever incentives or sports or whatever it is. So everything that we need, if we choose to tap in, is here for us to be successful. So that's my answer, and I'm gonna leave now so that I can go and do what I got to do. But this has been amazing. I have never ever, and it's so crazy because I'd be like, Lord have mercy, Nate gonna keep you on the phone 12 and 20 hours. But I'm saying, Nate, you are you off the chain. This has been the best 4 hours, and I've been on here since the beginning. I ain't never done that. But it has been so well worth it. And that's what I mean about, you go for an all-inclusive resort or vacation, you're there for days and you get everything you need. You enjoy the ride, you learn, you make new friendships, you develop new relationships, and you come home with a takeaway. And so this is what Life is Rich is. So thank you.
All right, listen up. So stay and listen to this. Starting today, I will take action and begin the process of developing leaders. I will develop the leaders on my team. I will identify the potential leaders on my team and invite them into the leadership process. And I will continue to look for additional leaders. While this will create the greatest return for me as a leader, I will do it not just for me, but for the sake of the organization and to benefit the people I develop. Nathaniel Scott Jr., June 6, 2020. So there you have my commitment. I celebrate you all for participating. Deb?
Yes?
Go ahead.
Oh, I can talk. Okay. Well, to piggyback on what Andrea said, so Nate, let me say thank you for stating your commitment. But I was going to say that I feel like within this community, I feel like we've all received a fellowship or a scholarship to an Ivy League course. And to be successful, we have to work to maintain it or to keep our scholarship, our fellowship. And the successful outcome is win-win, not just for us within this circle of influence, but also for all of the lives we will impact throughout our organization and beyond. And our collaborative effort will become a movement within our global community. That's what I believe.
And the outcome that's measurable is the $10 million endowment.
Yep.
That's the only way that's going to happen. So
drop the mic. Yes.
That's it. Well, listen, I appreciate you each. I thank you for your participation and engagement. And I'm glad that it sounds like you've gotten value from it. Remember, Monday morning, ladies call, 6 a.m. Text ladies. Men is at Iron, say at 7 a.m. Tuesday is Financial Peace, Tuesday and Thursday. Wednesday is the customer welcome. And
The
next
director, go ahead.
and next week, be on standby. We will definitely be getting a call, I'm sure, for doing a corporate call to celebrate advancements.
Yeah, the flyer's ready with the pictures of those who are unofficially advanced, but I don't want to, we're not gonna put that out until until Doug gives the official word. So just so you guys know. So the save the date, you can still use that to invite your friends and family and that type of thing.
All right, so let's have a great weekend. Let's close it out. Let's have a great weekend. Let's go out here and get incentive qualified, and you guys just be good. All the best to you.
All right, have a
Thank
good one,
you.
everybody.
And be sure as you enroll people, send me the point total. Send me the point total. Send me the point total when you enroll somebody.
Okay.
When they order. So, okay.
All right. Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Good morning.